Hello. I think everything's fine. You're a cheeky lot. I have just seen, have you set your screen right? It was quite all right last week for me. Plus the fact it didn't stress the system. So either the system needs to be better. Actually, it's not stressing the system now. But hello and welcome. Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan was first. Hello, Deb. Hello, Neil. Hello, Paul. Who else have we got? Hello, Kim. Is that another Paul? No, that's the same Paul. Who else have we got? Just lots of chat. There's another Paul. Spotted another Paul. Oh, the Debs. The Debs. All the Debs are here. There's Deborah. Couldn't resist. Yeah, but you see, the thing is, I might be quite cranky because Mike might just have asked the same question. He did. As I said to him, you make one mistake once and you never hear the end of it. Hello, Graham. How are you doing? Jonathan, first in, most likely first to fall asleep. Well, as I explained in Marooned, I have a rather early appointment tomorrow. So, Jonathan, tonight you stand a good chance. Which is probably just as well, isn't it? Shall we just have a quick recap? Ended well last week for me, but I have every confidence in your ability, Jonathan. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. Right, let's see if you can see my screen, which is always a good start. Right, blue screen, not of death. Hopefully not anyway. Right, let's get rid of that because I'm going to need that any second now. And I'll put up... Oh, let's go back to the poster. See how we go. Right. Can you see that? Now, at this point, I can't see the chat. So you can say anything you like now, Neil, and I won't see it unless Mike relays it. Which you might do. You never know. But let's get going. First of all, of course, it is the 11th of September.
Graham can't make Tuesday.
Oh, he can't make Tuesday. That's not good. Oh, yes, we prefer Monday, don't we? We do prefer Monday. We'll keep it all warm for you, Graham. But as I was just saying, September the 11th. So obviously have everybody who was affected by that horrific day in our mind. We also today are remembering my dad, who died 7 years ago today. He wanted to share the day. And here we go again with our neighbours. This time it's an alarm. They're clearly suffering, with it being Friday. What can I say? Anyway, we have a full show with lots of DEVONthink, but lots of other things as well. And the mysterious project number 13. Have we had any accurate guesses yet, Mike?
You can't hear that alarm.
They missed the alarm?
Yeah.
I can assure you it was very loud here. So if I'm talking about things that you can't hear, trust me, I'm being deafened. It's just that the audio is optimised to within an inch of its life. I was actually in a live session today, Mike, and I had to talk, and you know what I'm like when I'm live. When I'm attending, I like to sit quietly and ponder. When I'm training, I like to speak. So there I was, sitting quietly and pondering when it was, let's go into a breakout room and have a chat. And I thought, no, let's not. But I had to.
Oh, Johnny heard it.
So we went into the breakout room and this lady asked about whatever. And I then, oh, Mike, I've run out of water. I'll give you that to fill up for me. Thank you. Anyway, I said that I had a podcast, etc. And she came back and said, I love your voice and I love the audio. Which made up for the other time, which didn't end well this week. Anyway, what have we got? The week at MacBites headquarters, obviously. There is another update to Vivaldi. It's quite a cool one, actually. I don't see me using it, but you never know. So I'll show you, and then you can tell me whether you would use it or not. Then we have global blocks in Notion. Before you panic, you've not missed anything. Global blocks are not a thing. It's a hack. But why not, hey? Then we've got 3 bits of DEVONthink. We have backing up mail in DEVONthink, which came from a conversation on Marooned last week, where we were talking about losing access to your email. So particularly Gmail accounts, because Google's attitude is they're free. What do you want? You actually want access to email? You have to pay for that. So how to back up your mail and what you can do with it once it's in DEVONthink. Then we've got custom templates. Oh, complications. And then a couple of tips and tricks, but we're also making that Q&A, so get your questions ready. Can cover anything that we've covered in the last 8 weeks. This is the 9th week of the DEVONthink thing. Then I have some freebies, and then Mike is doing some Excel, which I actually haven't put details of. But should we have it as a surprise, or should we tell them?
Well, it was in the newsletter.
It's the chat thing, but this time it's the Marooned one, isn't it?
The Marooned one.
Which is a totally different process, so he's doing that. And then we will announce the mysterious project number 13. This is obviously purely a ploy to keep Jonathan awake for the duration of the show. We'll see how that goes, won't we, Jonathan? Right, first things first, we broadcast in HD. Make sure that you are watching in HD. There is a cog in the lower right-hand corner of your screen from where you can choose HD. While you're down there, if anything is useful to you, give us a like. It really makes a difference. But what have we been up to at MacBites headquarters? Well, you know that Saturday is always a busy day. Not quite as busy, though, last week, because we hit the dizzying heights of 10 shows. Last week, it was only 8. But, of course, there was our Brooklands by request. The theme last week, what was the theme, Mike?
Sport.
Sport. It was sport last week, that's right. And it was fabulous. Replete with, well, it should have been Tesco's, shouldn't it? Because they're Mike's favourites. But after the debacle the week before, they let him down. No fruit. So, you had an Asda order, didn't you, instead? Tesco's, okay. Bye-bye. And he ordered from Asda instead. Which was fine until Tesco's had to come on Sunday with the stuff that Asda didn't bring. So it was a fabulous weekend. Now, on to Sunday. And Sunday was the last day of our holiday.
A laughable holiday.
Oh, no. Lockdown holidays are fabulous. I've realised we're not the problem. It's other people. And if you don't mingle, you're fine. Now, the MacBiters and the Macarooners are totally different business because they're fabulous. It's everybody else. So we'd had an incident-free holiday, which makes a change. What could we do to make that last day memorable? There was only one answer for it. Dive back into the studio, which meant on Monday, not only were we back to work, but we had something to share. Wasn't Debbie amazing guessing words?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working on the next one. How about not having words? Yes, there was a new MacBites. Tuesday, the Apple theme continued. Apple announced they were having an event, and you know what that means. A MacBites Live. And we are. The schedule for Tuesday is going to be 4 p.m. we're having Marooned. So usually it's at 7. So what I put there is 4 p.m. UK time, which is 11 Eastern and 9 Pacific. But for reference, I've put a relative time. The usual Marooned time minus 3. You see, that's simple then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, I used to do that with the football. When there was a 5 o'clock kickoff, I'd just change my watch. Push it on 2 hours. I take it back. So to me, 5 o'clock was 3 o'clock, and it always worked better. Once we've had Marooned at 5 o'clock, we're going into MacBites Live. Now, MacBites Live's our traditional, what do we want to see, what do we think we'll see, let's do some poll kind of stuff, which we've always done for live events, but obviously we now have to fit in a Marooned as well. So 2 shows before we even start. Then at 6 o'clock, that's Apple Campus. That does look amazing, doesn't it? I think I'd like to visit. I'm not sure about the rainbow thing in the middle. That must have been a special event, unless it's there all the time. But there again, they've got all kinds of things in there. So that's going to be live from Apple Campus at 6 o'clock UK time, which is Marooned -1. And then, whenever Apple are done, so I can't give you a time on that, we'll gather and we'll chew over what they've announced, etc. So that's the plan for next Tuesday. But on Wednesday, do you remember Bollard Gate? Oh, that's so yesterday. It's now Lamppost Gate. No news on exactly what happened to this one, but there must be at least 80% of that lamppost missing, mustn't there?
Yeah, but when you look at it, there's no accident, is there?
No. No, it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like ripped out the ground or anything.
No, Lola was very interested.
I'm sure she was. But, you know, it's good to know that 6 inches of black tape keeps us safe from the electricity coursing through the stump, isn't it? Clearly, this is the way forward. You never mind your masks and your face guards. Just get some black tape. Works wonders. Talking of idiots. Oh, yes. Boris, Wednesday, put us back into lockdown. But apparently it's not lockdown. But if it is lockdown, we're in double lockdown. We have a local lockdown and a national lockdown. So, we discussed this. As did Boris. His rule of 6. Yeah. I wondered about that. I couldn't not get out of my head the sign of 4, the Sherlock Holmes book. Anyway, we worked on the principle, back in lockdown, for the foreseeable, potentially 6 months. Yeah, Marooned Christmas special it is then. Trust you'll all be joining us. Why can't we go live on Christmas Day? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing else to do. I might even make it a longer show. You never know. You could have Christmas dinner with us. It'll be fabulous. Don't worry about it. And it'll be here sooner than you know it. Thursday. Oh, incoming new toys. You may remember me talking about Drop Zone. Only a couple of weeks ago. It powers the black hole, if you remember. But I also said I had not upgraded from Drop Zone 3. Because Drop Zone 4 was subscription. And the subscription price was £25 a year. It's a fabulous app, but, you know, £25 a year, really? So I stuck with version 3. Apparently, they listened. Everybody listened, because it is now subscription free. You have the subscription option if you want to, but if you don't want to pay for a subscription, you can buy direct from them, or you can take a subscription direct from them. So what happens is it works if you buy direct and you just pay the full price, which is $35. You don't pay any more for the lifetime of version 4, which is how I like it. I like to know how much I'm paying. There was also upgrade pricing and all kinds of stuff. So in the end, both Mike and I did upgrade. So we are now flying on Drop Zone 4. But knowing Mike, he hasn't downloaded it and he hasn't installed it.
No, I haven't. There's a reason for that.
Go on.
I didn't want to do it without your say-so.
Do you know, he's very wise at times, isn't he? Yeah, you've got to recreate everything. So I would wait if I were you.
Well, all mine things are broken anyway.
Did you break them?
They broke ages ago. I just got question marks, so I've left it.
Do you know, he hasn't got OCD at all, has he? He just leaves things broken. Do you know what I noticed today? And it took me all my time not to mention it, but now he's reminded me I'm going to mention it. I watched him bring up Alfred, and Alfred said there's an update, and he just carried on and ignored it. If Alfred says there's an update, I am there. I am on the beta track. I am there. Maybe you could update Alfred while you're going.
Life's too short.
Not to update. I totally agree.
Well, it's been like that for about 3 days.
Mike!
If you're going to get anal about that, have a look at that.
Oh, he's into double figures on his iOS updates.
39 app updates on my iPhone.
This is why I don't leave him to it. Anyway, we both upgraded. So I'll be testing out what it can do that the other one couldn't. Probably find nothing. But I've updated, which I will need to do because, you know, the older version is not going to be supported forever and ever on new operating systems. But at least they have come to their collective senses, and you can now buy it at a single price if that is what you would prefer.
It's on setup.
It is indeed in setup. But we all know about setup, don't we? They can't be
trusted.
Yeah, well, they do seem to change the rules a little bit more frequently than...
More than Boris.
More than Boris. Indeed. Very good analogy there, Mike. Anyway, on to Friday, and it is, of course, 2-show Friday. We've done quite well, haven't we, actually, considering first week back, you know. Yeah, doing well. So let's have a look at the first thing, which is Vivaldi and what they have done. They have added a break mode. Let me know in the chat if you use one of these apps that locks you out of certain sites for certain amounts of time. I must admit, can't be doing with it. When I get into the zone, researching, particularly recording, because you can't interrupt yourself if you're recording, planning, plotting, I don't need to know to remind myself not to go on Facebook. Actually, I probably need to remind myself to go on Facebook to reply to people. But some people swear by these other apps, so let me know. But what this one does, it is inside, let's come out of there, it is inside Vivaldi. So it's only applying to Vivaldi, and it is a break mode, and they're calling it the way to pause the internet. So you see a big pause button on here. There is a little bit of a video. I watched the video. Useless. Didn't even tell you how to use it. But one thing before I got to the end of the article, I'm like, okay, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Now, I do tend, as you can see, have a fairly minimal browser interface. I've only got the one item showing, the extension. Can't get rid of that account icon, or I would have done by now. But I looked and I went through all of the menu options and it's not there. And I thought, what gives? Anyway, I found it. It's actually hidden in something that I don't have showing all the time. But what I do is make sure that I have a shortcut to show the status bar. Because the status bar in Vivaldi, I bring it up, actually has quite a lot of useful information in. So it has a clock in it. You might think, what do you need a clock for? You've got the clock at the top. But if you were to take this full screen, you might want to have the clock. There was also, when you click on the clock, it did other things. You can have it as an alarm. You can have it counting down. You can do breaks. You can do pomodoros. So there was a lot to the clock. They added that a little while ago. And again, I think it's people who are possibly a smidgen younger than me tend to work, apparently, in full screen mode. I can't be doing with it.
No, I can't.
So I don't particularly use that because I have other ways to do it, but it's there. So point being, the status bar is where it's at in Vivaldi for things. What I do use down here is you can capture the page. There's a whole page capture thing going on, which sometimes is quite handy. Rather than take a screenshot outside of it, we were talking about screenshots in today's Marooned, so that's just another way to do screenshots. You also have this option here, which is not alive at the moment, and it's not alive because I haven't got 2 pages. But once I have got 2 pages, so we'll just whip some MacBites in that one. Once I've got 2 pages, if I am on a page, so this is the active page, and I hold down the Shift key, I get that kind of hashed pattern around them. At which point this button down at the bottom becomes alive. And I can then choose to have those pages side by side. Either side by side, one above the other, or you can even break them out into quarters and add extras, so a tile grid. So if we wanted to see those 2 side by side, you can do that. So I do find Vivaldi the most amazing browser. It isn't my primary browser for one reason. It's the browser I host Notion in. So I consider that Vivaldi is Notion. It is my productivity system. But let's come out of it.
Johnny says, if you lack self-control on not being able to go on Facebook, as an adult, you probably have bigger issues.
Jonathan, you're spot on.
I have bigger issues in that case.
No. You can restrain yourself with Facebook easier than you can with chocolate. Although it's probably a close run thing. Right, so the break mode. You need to make sure that you can see your status bar. The shortcut key I have that on is Command Option /. And that's easy for me to remember. Right. Over on the left-hand side, you have extra options. So first of all, you can show the panel. The panel being this thing that flies out at the side. So when I'm talking to you guys in Marooned, I've actually got the chat, which obviously isn't there at the moment, in this side panel. And when I'm on Brooklands, I have the same thing. I have a different side panel just for Brooklands, and I can see the chat in there as well. So love the side panel, but again, I have that showing with a shortcut key, which is Command, Option and P. Then there is the cloud thing, the connected? When did it last sync? But the one in between is the take a break. So when you click that, it takes a break. The whole thing disappears. You can't see anything, any of the tabs that you were working on. You are taking a break. Now, it does give you, the first time you use this, it gives you the option to set a keyboard shortcut for it. And I haven't decided at the moment what that would be, because I'm pretty confident some of these things I've already got allocated anywhere else. But once I've set it, you can put a tick in here not to show it again, and you can use it just on a shortcut key. So which means you wouldn't actually need to see the status bar. Now, let me know in the chat.
A couple of questions in the chat.
Okay, I'll get to those.
Read them.
But let me know in the chat. I can see the chat at the minute. Okay. Let me know in the chat, is that something that you would use? Would you literally nuke your browser? Obviously, when I'm in Notion, no. Because I can't see anything. If you've got an app like Things as your to-do list or OmniFocus, you can still work local, you just can't synchronize. But if it's Notion, you can't even see it. So because Vivaldi is my Notion host, I can't see me using that much. Plus the fact, what's the other thing I'd miss, Mike? Kim will know this. If I nuke my browser like that, I'll lose the panda. My calming panda friend. But that's how you get to it. That's what it's for. That's what it does. And then you just unpause it and you're back to where you were before. So let me know if you would use that. Okay, what we got question-wise? Does 1Password work in Vivaldi? Yes, it does, Graham. Vivaldi uses all the same extensions as Chrome. They are actually Chrome extensions. So I only have one showing up here, but I do have a lot more installed. So I have 1Password, I've got Notion, I've got Downy, I've got Add to Roam. All of those are Chrome extensions. I've also got one that copies URLs to let me paste them elsewhere. I've got Session Box, which adds the ability to open a group of tabs as a session. I have Sarka. You may remember Sarka. It's the one that lets you bring up a window and you can go up and down through the tabs and do a search of your open tabs. Obviously, I've got an ad blocker, goes without saying. I've got Clip to Evernote, Clip to DEVONthink, a Clip to Notion. I have 2 Notion clippers, and one called the Great Suspender, which is frightening. But what that does is, if I have a tab open and it's open for more than, I think, 5 minutes, and I'm not looking at it, it puts it into suspension so it doesn't use system resources. And all of those, they are my standard extensions, and all of them are Chrome extensions. So yes, absolutely you can. In fact, I've taken that a step further. Great question, Graham. This Downy one that I've got isn't actually supported in Chrome anymore. The developer makes it available, but it's not in the Chrome store. So what I was able to do in Chrome to be able to use it, Google have just thrown it out. They've thrown it out because it downloads videos and they own YouTube and they don't want you to do that. So what you're able to do in Chrome is go into developer mode. And if you go into developer mode, you can side load extensions. I did show that in a previous show. Maybe Mike can find which one. So you can even go into the developer mode of Vivaldi and side load extensions too. So answer to the question, yes it does, and those are the ones that I actually have installed. Right, let's get back up here. So Jonathan's been thinking about using site-specific browsers for certain tasks, so they appear as separate items in the dock. Can't seem to find one that works with 1Password though. You can actually get away with it, Jonathan, with a couple of shortcuts. So let's say I wanted to log in to MacBites. You get to the page where you want to log in and you don't have a button to just click 1Password, but you probably will have a shortcut that, well, you definitely have a shortcut you can set up in 1Password. And what that will do is bring up the search window on the desktop. Type in there where you're at and you can navigate using the arrow keys. So what I do when I need to do that and I haven't logged into 1Password in the browser and I just want it quickly, what I do is I bring up, can I actually do that? Because my data's in it. Would this be a good idea? Probably not. I bring up 1Password. I use the arrow keys to, well, I type in what I'm looking for. I use the arrow keys to move across to the item. So that's the left and right. I use the up and down to find the item and then just press enter, which automatically copies. You are automatically then focused back in the browser where you were trying to find the password, and you just paste it in and then you're good to go. So you don't actually need the 1Password extension if you've got the desktop app, but some people don't, they choose not to use the desktop app. But if you are using the desktop app, then that's a really quick way around it. Right, they used to be able to use it. It was Apple making it tighter that meant that they couldn't. Another way around it, Jonathan, is depending on, I know you're thinking about, so it goes on the dock, but there are a lot of browsers out there that are very, very good. So whichever your main browser is, let's assume it's Safari, you've got Chrome, Firefox, Vivaldi and Brave before you even have to start delving beyond that. Just choose one of those to host it. And an Edge, there's 5. I've not had to do the site-specific thing, not for a long, long time. But if you learn the shortcuts, you don't even need the extension to be installed. And then when you open your browser, you've got to put your password in, because you can have it that 1Password on the desktop has like a longer timeout. And once you get used to the shortcut keys, it's just as fast. Okay, what other questions were there?
Might have been 62.
Right, so 62, the show where I demonstrated that, which was side-loading extensions.
Well, that was the big demo of...
Today is the National Day of Catalonia. Congratulations. What do you do to celebrate? Is it a big party? Because obviously at the moment. Right. Jonathan says, I must admit, probably wouldn't use that. The timeout thing. I can't see me using it in Vivaldi, given what I use Vivaldi for. I mean, if you put yourself on timeout, it's like you said, Jonathan, it's not on a timer. You only need to click the button to go back in. So it's possibly a nice to have in certain circumstances. But I show you it's there. If at any point it's useful, you can think, oh yeah, it did that, didn't it? So it's there. It's a feature. Paul wouldn't use it, but likes the idea. There you go. And no, Kim, I can't lose the pandas, I'm sorry. Because one of the features of Vivaldi from a while back, if you remember, let's whip up here and get a bookmark and find Panda Cam. There we go, there's Panda Cam. There was a pop-out video. Keep going, keep going. There's the panda. Right, oh my word, he's on the swing. You've lost me now. The panda's on the swing. Right, there was a feature which was this at the top, which was the pop-out. So your problem is when you go do some work, you lose the panda. And you can't lose the panda. So in Vivaldi, you have this option to pop out the video. And you can make that bigger if you want. And that will stay there while you go through different tabs or even go through different windows. So what have I got over here? I've got that. So if I bring that on, which is my remote desktop, because I need to do things, it's a long story, it automatically goes behind the panda, so I don't lose the panda. Basically, but you know, these things are important. And then you can pop the panda back in, and then Panda Cam goes in there. You'll notice Panda Cam's bookmarked. I usually end up at Panda Cam after the news. One hopefully offsets the other. Right, have we got any other questions? Jonathan likes the idea of the Great Suspender. I've used that for years in Chrome. I've only just added it to Vivaldi. But I always have a lot of tabs open in Vivaldi. Not usually like this, where I'm looking at a particular page. I usually have a lot of tabs open, like, be that one. So I'm on the Vivaldi update over there. I do actually have some extra ones open in there at the moment. But what I'll do is I'll bring this across to the window. And this is today's show, obviously. Have I done everything? Yes, I have. And if you look at the ones at the top, I've got Rome open. I have my dashboard open. The one with the 11 on is my calendar. The next one is my dashboard as well. I don't know why 2 are on the dashboard at the moment. Then I've got my journal. Then I've got week 37, week 38, the course that I'm doing. I have a session I'm planning for Affinity Designer, so I've got that one. I've got another course there that's got all of the assets in that I'm checking. I've got Hootsuite. I've got my notes in Notion. I've got the MacBites dashboard. I've got the MacBites shows. I'm obviously in something in there. That's the MacBites review of the year. These are 2 spreadsheets. And then I actually have 9 tabs, which are the next 3 episodes of Marooned, the next 3 episodes of MacBites After Hours, and the next 3 episodes of MacBites. I've got a few extra things as well. And then the rest of the tabs over here, if I actually can actually go to them. Let's have a look. What have we got there? Right. That's what it looks like when it's asleep, when it's suspended. It automatically comes back if I click on that window. So if I just click anywhere inside that window, boom, it will load straight in. But at the moment, it's suspended, which means it's not using system resources. There is an option within the extension as to whether you want to send to sleep tabs that are pinned, and I have chosen not to so far, but I'll test it out and see if actually it's viable. I didn't want to suspend it because I was concerned about losing the icon, because I navigate with the icon. So as far as I'm concerned, Vivaldi is Notion, and the pages I have open are the same pages in the same place doing the same jobs. But if I clicked on some of these, so this one here with the little out icon is our mail system. So no, actually I'm telling a lie, it's not. That one must be the mail system. Our comms, which is an admin rolling 2-week view. There is nothing that's not started or in progress or ready to send or draft. Everything has been sent. So these are all the mails that we send out, and that page is not suspended because it's a pinned tab. Pinning it also has the benefit that, you know, the icon isn't scrunched up like the icons over this end are scrunched up. So that was just a quick aside on how that works. But yeah, great suspender. It's a good one. It's a good one. Hello, Stephen. Glad you can join us. I can probably find that for you. I think it is the Great Suspender, and it's a Chrome thing. So there we go. I will put the link in. And that will work in anything. It will work in... I don't know if there's a Firefox version. Maybe somebody can check for me. I don't have it in Firefox. But I do have it in Vivaldi and Chrome and Edge. Edge uses Chrome extensions. I have it in Chrome Canary. It's great. It'll work in Brave. So I'll put the link in. That is the extension. And it's pretty simple. Just install it and it will give you a couple of options, set the options you want, and you're good to go. And it does save on system resources. There is in here an overview where it actually shows you, there you go, before and after, which is just how much less system resources are being wasted because the tabs are actually suspended. So I do find that one is particularly useful. Right, let's get that out of the way. So that was Vivaldi. Right, global blocks in Notion. Let me know in the chat if you use Notion. So I'm just going to go straight into Notion here. It's probably a good idea I've got that there, isn't it? But I will make in Notion a new blank page and we will fiddle with it from there. Right, while I'm sorting out a blank page, I don't actually have a blank page, but I will do. Right, there we go, blank page. Right, we will call this global blocks and then we know what it is. Right, Notion works on a concept of blocks. So you could have a block that was text. So if I put here demo, it's just text. But I could have it as a heading 1, a 2, a 3. I could have it as a to-do, a bullet point, numbered. I could have it as a toggle. And I can also have it, if I can reach over there, that turns it into a page. So now I can click on it and drill down. And if I go back, I can then just turn it back into text. So, and all of those, each one of those is just a different type of block, but they are all blocks. Deborah says, past user of Notion, past user of DEVONthink, don't use either. Obviously here for the company. You're always most welcome, Deborah. And to be honest, sometimes it doesn't matter what you use. Sometimes it's just a workflow. Obviously at the moment with this, this is very, very specific. But you never know. You can do this in other apps. This is just the way that it's happening in here. Right, let's say that I would like to have, so this is, let's do a bit of a trick. Let's do a bit of a trick. Let's say I would like some links to my upcoming projects, which I happen to know, like we've got Marooned, haven't we? Lots of different days of Marooned. Trying to think how this would actually work best. You can do it in one of two ways. You can do it where you use text, or you can do it where you use icons. So I will do it both ways. Right, so let's say I want the next day of Marooned, and that would be day 181, because we did the darts thing tonight, didn't we?
We did.
So that's what it would be. Right, the next thing I'm going to do in here is put in a bullet point. That'll do nicely. And I'm only putting the bullet point in to separate the content. So the day after that, all together now, would be day 182. And then I'll go back and put the bullet point in again, just to separate them. Probably be easier to copy it. Let's copy it. Right. And then we would have day 183. So obviously this is starting to look a little bit like navigation. And that's exactly what it is. 184. Now, to make that work, what I would need to do is go and put a link on the text. So one way to do that is to go into the link in here and paste a link into it. Can I actually search in here? No, I actually do need the link. Okay. So on my other page where I had on my other thing, I had all of the days all neatly lined up, I think. So let's go and get day 181. And make sure I get the right one. I don't want the comms. I want the actual show. There, I've got the show. So I bring across a huge, hideously complex link, which is just a page link, literally just a page link. And I link that. And that makes it a link. And then I would do the same thing again. So, show you what I did. I went into the search and I put in the day number. And it's going to have a look through. It's mentioned a few times, so that's our comms table. But this down here is the actual show. And that takes me to the show, from where I can copy that link at the top, just the browser link, and go back to where I was, hover over that and select it, and then put the link in there. So it's just grunt work, isn't it? It's manual work. Well, let's do it again. Day 183. There we go. That takes me to it. Grab the link, go back, grab the text. You are with me, aren't you? We are building navigation. And we'll do the last one. And I will show you on the last one, if I bring it up and I put in day 184, maybe 184 doesn't exist. Okay, we haven't actually created 184 yet, but don't worry, we will. Right, I'm going to whip that off the end. Let's just lose it off the end. Right, so I've got a block that is a link to those three shows, and it's in this particular page, but it might make sense to have that in quite a few places. It's really easy. You copy, you paste. It's very simple. But then you have a problem. So first of all, we're going to make sure these work by, I'm holding down the command key and I'm clicking them, and that opens them up in separate windows. So do we indeed get to 181? There we go, 181, 182, and 183. And then we've run out of Maroons. But you'll notice we already have a title for that one. It was the night before the keynote, which is Monday. So I'll need to create them. But yes, everything in here is working. So I have this block. And with this block, I can actually copy it. So just select it and make another page, which we'll helpfully call another page. So we know it's not our global blocks. And actually paste that in. And I now have the same links in there. And if I were to click these, they would go to the same pages. Okay. All happy so far with that. So far, so good. Right, the other type that you can create is It's exactly the same principle. It's just a different way of doing it, which would be you could go in and you could use emojis. So if I put in note and I click on there, then down here I have a notes page, and I could, can I copy that from there? Copy link. I can highlight the emoji and do exactly the same as I did with the text. Just paste that in and link it, and you get a little underline under it. At which point I can go up there and get the little bullet and separate out each emoji. So let's go get another one. Let's say project, so I need the gear icon. So let's put the gear icon in, and then we'll put that, and then we'll put the areas in. So I'll do 3 areas. No, it's a target. What I'm actually looking for does not have 2 R's in it. All right, target. Gets very upset searching. Oh, come on. Surely it's called a target. Is it not? Arrow. Is it an arrow? It's not an arrow either. Oh, come on. What's that called? Wouldn't you call that a target, Mike? Come on. It's in here somewhere. Let's find out what it's called. Oh, food. No, we mustn't go past the food. It's in here somewhere. But it's not that far. If you shout if you see it. Do you know, this is what I'm looking forward to, that there's going to be better search in the emojis. Because I have started relying on the emojis. It's in here somewhere. It's around here. Could be in sports. Which is somewhere around here. There it is. Right, what are you actually called? Bullseye. As if I'm going to... It's a target. Right, and then all you do with these is the same principle. So I want that one to link to projects. So copy the link, highlight that, Command and K, Command and V, enter. And the same for areas. So clicking on it, copy the link, select the icon, Command and K, Command and V, enter. And now I've got 2 forms of navigation there. And if I actually click on these, they would actually go to the notes. Right. But these aren't global. I can copy them. So I'm going to copy this one while we're at it and paste it over there. So we were going to, we're on another page. So let's go back to global blocks. There we go. There's the global block. So it's 2 distinct, different ways to navigate, either with text or with icons. And it gives you like a nice little toolbar in a way. But the problem's going to come when you want to put this on multiple pages. So we've got our other page here. We'll call that other page 1. And then we'll add 2 more pages. So another page 2 and another page 3. And oh dear, another page 3. Okay. I'm not going to bother putting anything on pages 2 and 3 because, you know, principle's the principle, isn't it? But we will do when we deal with it properly. Okay. So in the global blocks, we've got these. I've copied them. I pasted them somewhere else. But what say I want to finish this off by going in and adding in the other 2 elements to the para system that I use. So I paste in that and I get the link for resources. So copy the link to resources. And that icon is a box. Hopefully, if I type in box, it'll actually find the box. There's the box. Okay. Highlight that. Command and K, Command and V, enter. And the last one, which is my archives, which is not that, is it? So I need to copy the bullet point again because I'm copying the link in between all of this. Right. And we need, what's the last? Filing cabinet. File. There we go. Just that bullseye that confuses me there. Okay, select that. Go and copy the archive link. So copy the link, highlight the emoji, Command and K, Command and V and enter. And we've got new, improved, better navigation. Okay, but on page 1, we don't have that on here because there is no concept of a global block within Notion. There's no way to right click it and say make this a global block. Doesn't work like that. However, handily, there is a dirty hack. You know I adore dirty hacks. And this one is a dirty hack. But it's a fabulous dirty hack. So, here's hoping I can actually get it to work. Right, so we copy the link. So, each block within Notion has its own link. Obviously, pages at the top have a URL link. But each individual block, if you click on it, also has a link that you can copy. Now, I'm going to go into the global block because this is the one that's right. So I want to click on that and copy the link. Now, then for you to see the link, I'm going to go into Sublime Text and I'm going to paste it in. That's the actual link. Pretty, isn't it? Pretty, pretty link. Not. Right, now this link, let's dissect this link. Notion.so is the core where your Notion is hosted. The next part of the link is your username. Then it has global blocks, which was the title of the page. And then we have this lot, which I'm not even going to attempt to explain, but basically it references where that block is. And it's got a unique, as you can see, very long character thing going on. Okay, now what you need to do to make this work is this part that starts with the page name all the way through to the hash. So there is actually a # hash thing there. And at this end, it's delineated with the /. Okay? And now I need to remember which way around this goes. I think you've got to get rid of that. Okay. You need to lose part of this URL for this to work. Okay. So you need to remove the characters after there. And I cannot remember with this which way around it is. I either need to do that or I need to lose the hash and include this. And I can never remember which way around it is. So what I'm going to do is move that off the screen and actually put that in here and see what we get. And if it can't find it, then that's the problem. But if it can, awesome. That's pretty decent. So that looks like it's right. Looks like I've guessed right on that. Okay, lost my page now. Let's go up there and back again. Right. So I have... Actually, I'm wondering. Yeah, let's try it. If not, then we'll do it the other way. Okay. So I'm now going to another page that doesn't have anything on it at all. And I'm going to paste in there. And you'll see it says link to page. So I've pasted the URL in, but it was only half of the full URL. I have deliberately excluded part of the URL. And I pasted it in there. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on page 3. And link to page. And there is my navigation. We also had my navigation on this page, if you remember, but the problem on this page was it was already missing some at the end. So let's go in and let's paste that in and put link to page in. So we've now got the full one. Right, we'll do exactly the same with the second one shortly, but at the moment, let's just keep in mind what we've actually got here. I want to carry on adding to this by adding the engine room to it. So basically I'm rebuilding my sidebar. Why would I bother rebuilding the sidebar in here? Well, I don't have much in my sidebar usually, so it's taking up a lot of space just to have a few items in it. It would possibly be better to be able to have the navigation where I choose and exclude certain bits of it, customize it, and not need to see the sidebar at all. So I'm going to add in the engine room. So I need whatever that is. It's a battery, I think. It's the green battery. Highlight it, go get the URL, and copy the link. Right, Command and K, Command and V, and Enter. And I've edited the one on another page. But I didn't edit anything else. I've just edited the one. If we go back to the global blocks, it's updated. And on page 2, it's updated. And on page 3, It's updated. That is what a global block is. It is not officially supported. It happens to be a byproduct of their architecture. It could break tomorrow, but the odds are it won't, because it is their architecture. Now, the problem with that is it's quite manual, isn't it? You've got to remember which bit to exclude. So if we go back and do that again, so if I copy the link to that and we go back into here and put it underneath, I excluded all of that, including the hash. And that was all I needed to do. So I paste line 1 and not line 3. But every time I want to do that, I have to do the same thing. Let's see if we can automate that in some kind of way. Now, I deliberately haven't installed this extension because I wanted to do it with you guys. But there is an extension in here, so I did have the link for it. Let's go find the link for it. The extension is specific to do one thing, which is it will, when you copy a block, it will make it a global block. That's the idea anyway. So I have in here a link. Can we open that and see it? It's opened on the other page, but give me a second and I will attempt to drag it out. There it is. So let's drag it into here. Right, it's not an official thing because obviously it's not officially supported, but it's called Notion Global Block. It shows you what it will do, but I've already shown you that. It will just automate it slightly. So I'll show you as well, nice follow on from the previous demo, that the Vivaldi thing, you can choose to add to Chrome. It's saying it's Chrome, but obviously it's Vivaldi. And it's installed and it's over there. All right, so in here, it should give you some kind of usage, shouldn't it? You're going to give me some kind of usage. Overview. There we go. So it will enable you to copy a link and then paste it as a global block. So all you should need to do, which will make life a whole lot easier, is create the block you want to be a global block and then copy the link to it. When you right click, you need to paste global block rather than pasting the entire thing. So technically it should be really simple. So let's go back to our other page and go to global blocks. So we had this text-based menu. What this is saying is to use this, copy the link, and then where you want to put it, so in page 1 we had it, but that one won't update. We'll put it down here, that you should right click in there. Let's say right click and not add a note. I don't see it there. Am I going blind? I'm sure it said right click. Let's try clicking it. Nope, that's just taking me out to it. Oh, actually, that would have been quite handy, wouldn't it? No, take me out to it. I'm sure it said right click, but right click where? I'm quite happy doing it the manual way. That's why I didn't have this installed. Right, click on the block and copy the link. Done that. Right click inside another page where you want to place it. Paste global block URL. Okay. Which was pretty much what I was trying to do. So inside here, in fact, let's make sure I've actually copied the whole thing correctly. Right. Copy the link and go into the page where we want it. Into here, right click and paste global block. Can anybody see that? I'm not seeing it. It could be I've got to restart the browser. I don't see anything else up here. Remove extension, hide the button, manage the extensions. Well, that would be grand if it worked, wouldn't it? We'll do it another manual way. So we'll go back to this one that we want. Make sure that we've copied the link. We will go into here and do it manually, but that thing should work. As I say, I might just need to do some magic with it. But what I will do here is paste it in. You need to remove everything from there up to the number, the other side of the hash. Copy that, come out of there, go to the other page and paste that one in instead. and do link to page. And then when I make a change in here, so I won't add the link to it and I won't do the bullet point, I will literally just add in 184. That has been added to the global block, and when you go into here, it appears. Is that useful for everyone? I need to do magic on the other screen, Mike. Can you keep your eye on the chat while I do some magic on the other screen?
I will keep my eye on the chat.
I do love when I'm trying to do magic on the other screen that nothing is happening on the other screen.
Tracy said the Diada is celebrated with 1 million strong demonstration.
Wow.
Never seen them on the news.
No,
we don't watch the news, do we?
No, I'm not doing the news thing. No, I ended up on the Panda site when I tried doing the news thing.
And Kim wants to know if you just pasted from the globe. What if you just pasted from the global block?
Then you wouldn't get a global block, because what you would be pasting would include the bit that makes it a copy rather than unique, if you're with me.
Stephen says, clever idea. I wonder where I could use it.
Well, navigation is one thing that comes to mind to me. Navigation, definitely. Oh, Mike, stuff's crashing right and left over here.
Deborah says to Neil, workflows and principles are good to observe.
They are, because, you know, what we're talking about there. Oh, I am attempting to do something on the other screen and it's giving me major grief. And I can't do it at all. Oh, dear. Right, I will attempt to talk through this while I am trying to do something else at the same time. Workflows and principles are more important than the actual application, because the application could go away tomorrow. I mean, we have all experienced that, haven't we? We have all experienced where it's just, you know, it either shuts down, they tell you it's going to shut down, or it literally just vanishes. This is going so well on this other machine, Mike.
Oh.
Camtasia's crashed twice so far. Right, let's try and do something different. So workflows and principles, you know, we've moved so many times from app to app to app. Crying out loud, I really do need to see this. Right.
Johnny says IC134.
Well, 133's done, Jonathan. So what were you expecting? Of course there is. Of course.
Doesn't mean it's in the can, Johnny.
Oh, it's not in the can. No. It's not in the can. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to scream in a minute. Do excuse me while I sort this out, because if I don't, I'm going to go mad. I'm going to go mad. I do wish they wouldn't do things like that. I'm trying to record on another screen while I'm doing stuff on this one. And it's being very awkward. And now the thing I'm trying to record, they've taken it full screen, so I can't see what I'm doing. Come on. Never mind. I will take it. I will do magic beans there. That's what I'll do. Okay, I think I'm good to go. I've done that. Right, we have changed how we do MacBites so many times. But every time we do, we iterate through. I don't know if I can actually show you. I'm probably not logged in.
Neil says, I think they've got them down to one take now. Weekly. I'm guessing that's talking about MacBites.
I think so. Come on, Jonathan. There's 7 shows a week. You just need to arrange those phone calls at a better time. No, the workflow principles. We started off with Google Notebook and everything went in there. And then we went and we did other stuff. And every time we do, we get like a slightly different and more refined workflow. The last time we moved, it was from ZendKit to Notion. And I remember saying to Mike, I'm thinking of trying Notion. And Mike was like, no, we're not moving again, are we? But the principles...
QI rolling at MacBites headquarters.
Oh, very much so. But the thing was, you know, what we did everything we'd done before rolled forward and we improved it as we went. I have no idea if we'll be in Notion a year from now. I don't know. But I don't worry about it, because if something's better, I'd be moving on because it's better, unless Notion disappeared. In which case, then it's like, oh dear, how are we going to make what we've got in Notion work in something else? The way Notion's going, it's Notion and Rome at the moment that are sort of scrapping with each other as to who's going to get the biggest market share. They're not the same. Notion is fabulous for sharing. So Mike and I need to work on this together. It's fabulous at sharing, and it's fabulous with structured data. Structured data is where it's at. So, for instance, I could show you a page with MacBites on it, but Jonathan would get far too excited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a different one, which is similar in concept. Could we do this in another application? Yes, of course we could. So I've got this page. This is, let's get rid of the sidebar so we can see it all. This is Brooklands, and these are the shows that we need to organise for Brooklands. And this is like an ongoing thing. I've got 5 shows to do for tomorrow for Brooklands. This is where Notion excels. Do I want to do that in Rome? No, are you kidding me? No. Do I want to do that in DEVONthink? No. Evernote? I don't think so, because there's a physicality to this. I can see the shows. So I can see down here, these are, the Brooklands schedule is on a Saturday. We have 8 hours of music before we go live, and then we have another 5. And we need to intro those shows. So tomorrow is the 12th. I just click on the 12th. I can see what programs we've got running. So what shows have we got playing? And then obviously I'm not sat there for 8 hours and then manually introducing these shows, you know, like Radio 2. I'm not there. I'm not doing the, what they call that, the continuity person. That's not me. But the continuity happens because down here we have what's on. So 5 new shows. And then these are the segues. So I will, after tonight's show, record all of these, slice and dice them, and there's the intros. It's OneNote, and that would be OneNote in OneNote, Evernote, Rome. But it all links together in terms of, okay, who... So if we look at one of these segues, you're listening to Brooklands 196, the official radio station of Brooklands Cadanians. We're starting with a brand new series today, the Brooklands Years, and it says we're starting with 3 episodes. 1961 is coming up next. Right. But when I come down here, and then I'm going into 1961, but at this one, you know, what am I listening to? So what am I introducing? I might be introducing here where it says the Brooklands Years, Brooklands celebrated their 25th anniversary. What's the first song? I have no idea. I have literally no idea. But I now need to know that, you know, I'm looking at my segue and I'm thinking I could do with saying in the first show, the first song is, where do I go to find that? Well, in Notion, it's really simple. Which show? This one. Click on that, open up the show, go down the list. Now, I haven't done this yet. That's why they're not there. But there would be a playlist and I would know exactly where it was. Then I'm into it. In fact, I can see from there, let's start with Chain Reaction from Diana Ross. Okay, so it's Chain Reaction from Diana Ross. That's where Notion is fabulous. These are all the new shows. A rolling 2 months is what we call it. Month in front, month behind. And then these are all the music shows. This is where Notion is fantastic. But if I wanted to sit and research a book and find concepts and principles from book 1 about productivity and cross-reference it with book 2 from productivity and have hashtags between them, yeah, Rome, go to Rome, because Notion's not really where it's at for that. So horses for courses, and different jobs will demand different types of application. So I don't think you can actually know too many applications. I've sat through demonstrations of applications I don't use. But afterwards I think, I wonder. But for us, Notion is all about the structure of it and the fact that we can go in here. So which ones have we done? The Elvis one. The Elvis one's complete. So if I went into there, I can see how long the show is. I can see what songs are in it. I can actually play it if you like, because I uploaded it to it. I've got all of the segues. There's my intro, my outro, and my credits at the end. And I would sit and I would record that. And most of the time, you know, it's in front of me. And if I try reading it, I make mistakes. If I just make it up as I go, I'm fine. But do like to have it there as a reminder. So just a quick aside about it doesn't matter what you use. Could you do that in Evernote? Probably. And maybe if Evernote works best with your brain, you would find that easier than that. But for Mike and I, well, for me anyway, and you just tag along on the ride, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but be honest, how organised are you now?
Bit more.
I could show you the bits where he's not tagged things, but he was on his honour to do that this week before I had to resort to PandaCam again. Right, let's get that out of the way and have a look what we were looking at next. Any questions? Stick them in there. Right, backing up mail with DEVONthink. This was a request. This came from a Marooned, an episode of Marooned, this did. And we were talking about Google and the fact that Google just randomly decide, you know, we're locking your account. Send us some information to prove it's you. Thing is, I've never heard of one that's been unlocked. So you would lose access to your mail. How do you easily back up your mail was the question. And luckily, we were doing a Q&A on DEVONthink, and DEVONthink can do that. So there used to be another way of doing it. Oh, look, I've got data in there. But only the 2 things about the rule of 6. I haven't got anything else open. So this is my inbox. I'm going to start with a new database again. So file new database. I'm not particularly concerned about encryption, but your mileage may vary on this one because if it's going to have your mail in it, it could have financial information in it, passwords, so maybe you would want to encrypt it. But we will have here a backup, mail backup. Oh, in fact, probably mail archive is probably a better name, isn't it? And create it. So again, you've got just a blank database. There's nothing clever about it. It's just got all of the normal stuff that's in it, which is the 3 items. We've only got the 3 items, which are smart groups. But we need to get some mail into it. Now, there used to be a way to automate this from the mail end. Mail used to be extensible with scripts, but it's all a bit hazy now, because Apple are taking away from mail. They're beefing up their security around your mail system because they don't want to get the blame when an application on your Mac says to you, give me access to your mail client. I want to do X. And you think, yeah, okay. And before you know it, they've got access to the mail and then they're doing nefarious things with it. So they're beefing up security at the mail end, but that doesn't mean that you can't actually archive your mail. You can. Before you go any further with thinking about backing it up, I'll show you what it can do, and then we'll have a discussion about what you think is best in terms of what you would do with backing up your mail. Right, so how do you actually do it? Well, I'm going to go into Mail. So I'm using Apple Mail for this. And yes, I've got a mail in there from Jonathan. Look at him. Look at him. I'm still awake. I remember that one. Right. This is. Can you send me some more mail, Mike? But I've actually got all the mail in here, which has got security alerts and all kinds of stuff in it, and Roam team and all kinds of stuff. So this is all our mail for the MacBites account, including spam probably. Okay. So I have mail in it, most of it unread. Right. First thing we've got to think about is where you're putting it in here. Are you putting it in the inbox and you're going to do some sorting out later? Do you have a way to archive? How do you archive? So I said we'd have a chat about it afterwards. I can't see the chat at this second, but Mike will keep me updated. Mike's sending some more mail. Thank you for that. Watch is buzzing and letting me know. Before you can even drag and drop one email, where are you putting it? How do you know it's backed up? So you do need a system. My system used to be by month. So when I used to do it manually, I would do it by month. So I would start off with a group at the top level. Now, this might be, let's think how you access your mail. Tell me in the chat, how many mail accounts have you got? Most of my mail comes into one. I keep it very simple. Because the very top level folder, is it going to be the name of the mail account? Or is it going to be the year? So do you want the name of the mail account at the top and then archive all the years inside it? Or do you want to archive all of your mail accounts by year? These are the things you need to think about. So I'll go for 2020, right? And within there, I will go... I would do it by month, and I would name them like that all the way through to the end. But I've no idea which these are. We'll put it in a September. So I'll have a new group, and I put the number at the beginning so it sorts correctly. So September is the 9th month. I open it up down the side, and I'm in here. So another way to do it would be a higher level. Instead of having Mail Archive, have Mail Archive primary mail account, or my iCloud mail, my work mail. Really up to you. Completely up to you how to organise it. But the principle, once you've done it, is exactly the same. And it could not be easier. So I'm heading in here. Here's Mike with all his mails. Another mail. Is Jonathan awake? Obviously, question of the night. So let's say within here, I look for all of the mails in September. So that Rome one was actually... So this one is the first one from September. So those are all my September mails. You'll notice that the ones from Mike are starred. He's one of my VIPs. He's a lucky boy. Right, so I've got my mail selected. It really couldn't be easier to back them up. Anybody tells me they can't back up the mail, really? Because that's it. Drag and drop. Obviously, it can get deeper than that, but the principle remains the same. There are, and don't panic that there's 4,000 unread mails. Don't hyperventilate. All these mails are already somewhere else. They are already passed on to me. They are passed on to Mike. They are dealt with, all done. This is literally just the repository of that Google account. Nothing is processed in here. It's an archive already as far as we're concerned, because the versions of these mails that we would need to reply to or deal with, they're already somewhere else in our own mail accounts. So this is like just a receiving mailbox, and it archives itself. But for the demo purposes, I intended to show that you can just drag and drop these into here. In here, as you click on it, you actually get who it's from, and it's clickable, so I can reply to Mike from here. It's got a to, so that's clickable as well. It's got the date and the subject and the content. You can see he was very, very, what shall we say, inspirational there with his blah blahs. But it's there. And here's some more mail. And there's some show notes. Oh, you're giddying Jonathan there. He thought he was going to see something then. We're talking about quick brown foxes and dogs, Jonathan. So... Oh, and you've got all the others in here as well. You're giddying him. You're giddying him. So it is that simple. That's it. But things you need to think about. You'll notice I did it from Apple Mail. But it's a Google account. So why can't I do it from a browser? And the answer to that is, in a browser, Google has an internet-hosted interface to the mail. Because of that, when you drag and drop, you pick up a mail inside the browser, you can't drag it anywhere other than within the page. So you could not drag a mail out of your browser because it won't let you do that. Now, there are other applications, aren't there? There's MailPlane for a start, which is the one that I use. But MailPlane... Come on, up you open, up you open. Let's get you back on the right page. I've got a secondary account there, so let's use that one. All right. Here's some mails coming in. Now, you can see for a start, these mails are the same mails, but this is a different mail account. You'll notice this is my notifications account. And the reason that they're coming through to this account as well is this is the one that I have notifications on for 3 people. And the 3 people are the church account, Mike, and Scrivener Beta program. That's it. But these mails are exactly the same mails. But even if I put this down here and I grabbed hold of that, because you can grab hold of a mail like that, you can't drag it out of the window. Because all this is, MailPlane, is literally an interface, a wrapper around the website. That's it. It's just a wrapper around the website. So you're stuck with that. You would need to have a client that would be compatible with it. And the best one that I would recommend for that is Apple Mail. I don't use Apple Mail, but I have put in it my mail accounts just in case I want to do a backup of the mail into DEVONthink. Right, so we've got them in there. In terms at this end, you are going to need to think about the organisational structure. The reason that I used to do it by month was purely historic. It was because, you'll laugh at this one, it started in about 1998 and I was using Outlook. And at the end of a month, after about 2 weeks, Outlook started to slow down. The more mail it had in its inbox, the slower it got. So I archived off everything permanently every month. And I still have those archives somewhere. I have no idea if I can access them, but I've still got them. So doing it by month and then grouping 12 months together for a year made sense, and that's what I've done in here. But you might want to archive in a different way, or not even use it for backup purposes. What if you had a project and you wanted to put all the project mails together? You can do that just by dragging and dropping them out. So what you need to be thinking about is, yes, you could search for them in here. So if I put in here show notes and I go into there, you can see I've got the results and there are 4 emails to do with show notes. I might very well decide, I will select all of these and I'll put them in a group called show notes because that's how I want to archive it. It very much depends on you. But what I would say to you is your email is not your life's work. It's garbage people send you. Some of the things they send you are important to you. Receipts for things, confirmations, certificates, stuff like that. But the more time you waste trying to organise something that cannot be organised, because within seconds more mails come in and you're now not organised again. Life's too short. I would just dump the lot into a folder and then use DEVONthink to search for it. Simple as that. Don't waste time with taxonomies and really trying to get detailed with it, because you're a slave to the system if you do that. The next time there's a bundle of mail to come in, you've got to sit there and manually file them. I have seen people who do that. Do you remember your mum saying, I can't move them out of that sidebar or I'll lose them? And I'm like, no, you can leave them there then. Okay. She was more comfortable where she could physically see them. I'm more comfortable when I can't physically see them. It just depends on how your mindset works. A couple of other things to think about with mails in DEVONthink. Let's say, at the moment, these are mails. So if we look at the kind, which is in there, they are mails. What if 20 years from now, we can't read emails? So what was the format in PSTs? They weren't an email format, were they? They're a proprietary Microsoft format.
Was it EMLs?
It might be EMLs, but it was a Microsoft EML if it was. So I would say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll be able to see them. 20 years? I can't guarantee it. Cannot guarantee it. Unless I do this. Grab the lot, right click, and convert. You can convert to plain text, pretty much guarantee you're going to be able to see that. Rich text, probably, but you know the best one? A 1-page PDF for each mail. PDF is guaranteed to be readable. It is an ISO standard. You will always be able to read PDF. So now I have a mail that is a PDF. PDF and text. It's all searchable. It actually looks much neater and tidier, doesn't it? The links still work. So what's not to like? What I would probably do, just in case, just in case, if I go into here, and I'll tell you what I'll do, I will sort by kind. I can there grab those, group them, so group items, and then say there's my PDF backups. So I'm showing you a principle, but how you choose to deploy that principle is totally up to you. I think it is very, very useful to have a PDF backup of the mail. And seeing as though you've just seen me do it, that's not going to take long, is it? Select the lot, right click, make PDF, sort by kind group, done. And they will be searchable forever. You can guarantee it. So I would definitely do that. Right, have we got anybody making any suggestions about what they would do? Would you do it by year?
There's a few questions.
Okay, let me get it so I can see the window. Debbie, are you kidding me? It's that easy. Yes, Debbie, it's that easy. Attachments go with it, Neil. There's two ways of doing the attachments. You can either have the attachments go with the mail, or you can have the attachments separate in DEVONthink. The difference between the two, if you have the attachments in the mail, they are not searchable by DEVONthink. If you add the attachments separately into DEVONthink, then you can run all of the DEVONthink AI against it, and it's searchable. Right, so we've got inbox 0. No, Neil, my real inbox has email inbox 0. This one isn't. I treat this as an archive. This to us is the real email account that the mail goes into, but we're not going to go and triage it or automate anything in any kind of way, because when the email hits the inbox for macbitesuk@gmail.com, a copy is sent to me and a copy is sent to Mike. My copy is forwarded on to 2 other Gmail accounts as a backup. Don't know what Mike does with his. We've already got 1 million copies. We don't need any more. That is all the MacBites mail there has ever been in 13 years. So Deb's got 1. We have a sensible Deb there, don't we? Neil's got 6. There's always 1. Kim's got 3 and Debbie's got 5. 2 different work accounts and 3 personal. Oh, wow. Jonathan's getting excited over the word weekly, isn't he? Right, let's have a look. If you have unlimited G Suite storage, why not archive in a Gmail account? Well, the object of the exercise, Neil, in relation to this, was we started it with a principle of, well, yes, you could just leave it in Gmail, but what if you can't get into the Gmail account? You have no idea what would happen. So this is just a way for you to have a local backup, and then you could put this backup wherever you wanted. Just an extra option. Debbie's definitely going to try it now. She knows how easy it is. Right. You love the PDF backups. I think they look really good. Sometimes if I want to quote an email that somebody's sent in a presentation, or they've asked a question, I create it as a PDF and just drag it in. And it's basically then an image, but it's actually interactive. You can click on it. So I love the PDFs. You'd group by category by year. I tend to go by year because I don't want to have to think. So if I did it by category and it was like, are we talking, when you say category, is this like by sender or to do with a specific project? I can see the benefit of archiving off everything in relation to a project, which is why this course that I'm on at the moment, we've all demanded, seeing as though it's all about productivity, we've all demanded that every single mail comes through with a tag at the beginning that we can hook into in our email client and archive off just for that project. And true to form, he's agreed to that. Every mail that comes in has this tag at the beginning. We could do that with MacBites, couldn't we? Do we want to make it easy for them to make a rule that sends it straight to the trash?
No.
But we could do. We could do. That's just a practicality of it. If you have the power to determine, maybe you're sending the mails or you're involved in organising it all, then you may instigate that yourself, that every mail to do with Project X has, like project number 13. We just put project number 13 at the beginning and put round brackets around it. Just put the brackets around it. I think that's a good way of archiving, but I actually choose, unless it's a specific project, I choose to archive by date. It's the only way that I don't have to think. And I find that's the best way to do it. Right. Does that mean I can delete all the emails from the mail program? I'm tired of seeing them in my inbox. What I would do with them, where you're hosted, Debbie, is it like a Gmail account? I mean, technically speaking, yes, you could delete them because you've got them in here. But I don't delete anything at all, ever. The only thing that gets deleted is spam. If something comes through and it's like, you just logged in, is that you? Technically, I can delete that, but I never do. I took the pledge years ago not to overthink email because that way madness lies. So what I do with it is a mail comes in, I look at it, and I press the E key, and that archives it. So can I actually show you that? Yes, I probably can. Right, so this would be my workflow. Is that mail playing? Where's mail playing gone? Oh, here we go. Here we go, it's thinking about it. Right, this is only my notifications account. Obviously, madness lies over here. But this is this account. So if we go into the inbox, right, where we can see all the mails. Right, this one is this week's church newsletter. Remind me to print that for Helen. Right, so this is a mail and it's got that in it. I could delete that because, you know, I've already proofread that and I've got the copy elsewhere. But let's say I don't want to do that. I want to archive it. I want a copy of every mail I have ever sent or received in my Gmail account. So I use this and I literally would do this. E, 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 E. What's happening is it's archiving it. So, no, we don't want, or do we? Hang on, where are they? Oh, I don't organise this. This is bad. This is bad. It's probably in all mail. So everything that's come in is in all mail. Here's the ones from the stuff last week. So that's a newsletter coming in to me, and that's a newsletter going out to everybody else when I've checked it. So the secretary sends it to me with the blue icon, and then when I've sent it back to her, she sends it out to everybody as a PDF. And this account is the one that gives me notifications. And these are the only things I want notifications of. Mike having emailed me, the newsletter coming in or out, and this one from Philip is the deacon uploading the video. So that is my all mail. Obviously, we tend to live in our inboxes, but you can always find the mail where it lives in the all mail. So I just go in here and it's just like, yeah, I'm aware of that. Archive it, archive it, archive it, archive it. And now they're all archived. In terms of like, oh, but what if I need that mail from Philip? Then go into the search and put in Philip. Is it one L or two? Because that's not actually his name. I know that sounds bizarre, but it's not. Oh, I'm not typing properly. Come on. Can we do that? There you go. There's all the mails. So even though they're not in my inbox, they're in my all mail. They are archived. I can access them as and when required. This is how long I've been doing the mass. I can find them, so I don't delete them. I must admit, I do not delete anything, but you could do, Debbie. But if what you want is to not see them in the inbox, just archive them. And then they'll still be there for you to search, because there is a benefit to that. They're in the cloud, whereas your DEVONthink stuff may not necessarily have easy cloud access. I could do a search on that mail for all the mails from Philip, even if I'm out, because they're in the cloud, they're in the Google Cloud. So I wouldn't delete them, but technically you could. Now, Neil says I would still be worried about DEVONthink disappearing. That's true. You should always... let's get rid of... You should always be thinking about something, going away. But I would imagine with DEVONthink, if it went away, it's not a service. So it's definitely not a service. It's going to be on your machine. If they told you it was going away, right? If you were made aware that in 6 months it's going away, right? Just checking this thing over here, not seeing everything at the bottom. What is going on? If you were aware it was going away, then you would have a certain amount of time to get your stuff out of it, which is pretty much what we do. There's usually a takeout service involved. So if that happened in here, in fact, it's really simple. Right, we would just drag that and we would drop it. And now the PDFs are outside DEVONthink. Simple as that. If you did not have access to DEVONthink, you've got a DEVONthink database that somebody has given you, and you don't have DEVONthink, you can still just right-click, open Show Package Contents, and everything that's in the DEVONthink database is right in front of you. So that's why there is that option to create the encrypted one, because sometimes you don't want that to happen. So you don't want people poking around in your database, so you would encrypt the database. That's one reason why I don't encrypt the database. I would rather put the database unencrypted on an encrypted drive, because that way I don't have to fight with DEVONthink to get into the DEVONthink database. Right, let's move on. To do with projects that are ongoing on financials, newsletters, genealogy. If that makes sense to you, so you've got those kind of by subject backups, then do it that way. Do it that way. It's on iCloud, so I'm guessing at some point you're going to run out of space. So hence you may want to delete the mails. iCloud will let you archive in the same way Google Mail would let you archive, but if it's your preference, then technically speaking, if you do what we've just done and then you back up the database, you have access to the actual mails themselves, and if you do the PDF thing, you've actually got access to the PDF things as well. Right, Tracy, not quite understand how you can get the attachments into DEVONthink so you can search for them. Right, the only way to do that would be to save them out of your email client and then add them into DEVONthink on a manual basis. So the better way to do it, although then they're not searchable, so it's a bit of a trade-off time-wise. If you leave the attachments within the mails, they're not searchable, but it's a lot faster. But the other way to do it, to be honest, if you've got something that's an attachment to a mail, I would suspect you've already exported it somewhere. So what I would do with that is maybe have a folder in the downloads folder where all mail attachments go, and then create an extra folder in here. So let's go to 2020 and add, like at the bottom, folder 13. 13 is the number. Which is attachments that were very important to me, and then they are searchable. That's how I do it. Gmail seems to search inside the attachments, which is a concern in itself. Oh yes, but it does make it powerful. It does. I'm always quite shocked when I go into an account in a web browser that's not a paid for account, and there's so many adverts, and the adverts always relate to the contents of the email. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. So I don't tend to, well, one, I don't tend to use a browser on those free accounts. You don't see the adverts if you hook it up to another system. And obviously if you do some kind of backup like this, you could actually manage the mail within DEVONthink. You could even, because we looked at the scripting last week, you could script this whole thing. Right, okay, so that was backing up the mail in DEVONthink. Right, what was our next trip into DEVONthink? Oh, yes. Custom templates. DEVONthink custom templates. Right, big decision to think about first. When you're talking about template, what do you mean? Do you mean a DEVONthink database with folders in it, groups in it, smart groups in it, lots of things you've already pre-built? So let's say you have a repeating project. If it were me, that would be something like a course. If I was talking about a template and I meant a course, then that would happen at the database level. I would set up a database within DEVONthink that had all of the admin stuff at the top, and then a space to put the post-it and a space to put the outline, all of the things we looked at last week. Then I'd have the modules, and then I'd have lessons within there. And then I would save the database before I put any information in it that was specific to any course, I would save it. You could choose to make it stationary. You could put the tick in stationery pad, or you could just open it and then do a save as, or duplicate it on the file system level. That's one side of it. So if what you're talking about is that in whatever it is that you need to do, it is project based. So maybe it is a course that you're taking and you want a DEVONthink course database for it, and you take courses, 10 times a year. Continuing professional development of some description. Or you're creating courses, or you do book reviews, but you do really detailed book reviews. Or you want something by year, so you've got your January to December in it. That's a database level template. The other kind of template we looked at when we looked at templates, which was the DEVONthink item level of template. And that is a totally different beast. Those level of templates you could insert into any database that you had, because they live outside of the databases. So for instance, I've got a database, it's got modules in it for my course. And to make a new module, I would duplicate that, because I don't need that module in my other DEVONthink database, which is my mail archive. But the DEVONthink item level of template is something like note to self or something like that. For those, they live outside all of the databases. They're more generic and they're at a much more granular level. They are just an individual DEVONthink item. Right, we are not really going to be looking at the ones on the left, which is it's just a database, just duplicate it. That's it. But the ones on the right, they are not all equal. We have DEVONthink templates, which have an extension of DT template, and we have template script D, which is another type of template. They are both templates. The difference between the two is the one on the left is a standard, it's just some content. The one on the right has intelligence built in, and it has a script, which if you're happy scripting, you can make your own. If you're comfortable editing script, then you can duplicate the ones that are there and edit those. Let's have a look at them all. Right, let's get back into DEVONthink. Okay. So let's say in here, what would make most sense to do? Data, new from template, and I think we had in here something we were going to actually use. Not a daily journal. Let's have the months. Now, that's a template that I'm doing. I now have a folder called months, and within it I have all of the months. In my case, we'll lose that. We'll lose the 9th in there because we've already got it. Oh no, actually we won't. What I'll do is I will shove that somewhere else. And we will have 13 as well. Just to be awkward, because we can. Right, and then get rid of the months. So what I've just done is added these in, so I've got the 13 folders that I actually want. I've got that in 2020, but let's say I put that at the top and I called it year. And I want that to be my template. So I want to create a template. Now obviously what I can do in here is I can just copy and paste that, and now I have a duplicate of it, and it's telling me, in fact that's plain text, that's not what I want. Let me duplicate that. Duplicate to, I just want it at the top level, mail archive, there we go. Are you thinking of duplicating that at all? You should be. Oh, come on. Duplicate to. Oh, stick it. Oh, it's put it in the inbox. Crying out loud, I didn't really want it in the inbox. Mail archive. Year and year. I would put that down here. So it's actually in my database. So that's the poor man's way of doing it, isn't it? It's a poor man's way of doing it because you need to have that stored within your database to be able to do that. The other thing is, if I wanted that inside a different database, so what else might I be working on by year? Well, let's say it's after hours. So file, new database. This is going to be all my after hours stuff. for however many years. So we'll put that in. I'm now in this database, and what I would need to do is go find another database to pull this in from. So that is the manual way, and that's not really the best way of doing it. Not at all. So what I'll do with it is actually make a proper template of it. Now, you need to understand actually how the templates are working to understand what we're about to do next. If you go up to data and you say new from template, when you come down into here, some of them have a scripty icon on it and some don't. Some have different icons. You're proving me out to be a liar. There we go. The tickler file had a totally different icon. This one's got pretty much the same. But when you use these, so let's say we wanted a productivity daily journal. So I create a journal, and there is the journal, right? It's not just saying go away and get that journal and insert it. It's got to script it. It's got to say, right, there's the journal. Oh, and what day is it? I'll create a page for today and I'll put a date on the top and I'll pull the information in. That's the one on the right that was the smart script style of template. But a template could be really, really simple. It could be that you just want a plain text file, which is your, let's say it's a course outline. And you keep it as simple as that. So you have a course outline and you want to say course title, and you would type that in. Date released, and then, you know, tutor, any other information. It's incredibly basic, but there's a lot of it. So what else would we have about a course? Subject. You may have a version on it. It could be the software version if it's software training. So you basically got that. And every time you create a new course, you have got to go in and you've got to generate that. There's lots of ways of doing it. You could use a text expander for a start, but it's probably better to have it in DEVONthink. Now, that would be a very basic template, incredibly basic. Look at it. It's just one text item. But don't think when you use the data new from template and you use some of these that they are basic just because you end up with one entry. So if we go and what have we got here? Something fairly basic like a note. That should be pretty basic. And you see, it is. It's not that much more advanced than what I've just created, only this is a template and that isn't yet. But the ones that stop and prompt you, fill in this, fill in that, can I have access to your contacts? That's a script. Ultimately, you will end up with one note like that. But to get that one note, a script ran. So you may use one and think, oh, that's great. I can easily edit that because I just need to change that to not say note. I need that to say title. That would be really easy. It would and it wouldn't. It would if you can edit the script because the thing was based on a script, basically. So let's see how that actually happens. Everything that's in new from template comes from the template folder. Last time we looked at clicking on more templates and actually loading them in. So we got this dialog box, which went away and found the scripts that we don't have. So these are the templates, dated hierarchy, lab notes. We added the tickler file, but we also have a journal entry. So we could install the journal entry, which we didn't do last time. We installed the journal, I think. Right, so we've added that. So that's one way to get extra templates. So we'll go to data, we'll go to new from template, and now we've got a journal entry at the bottom, which is just a journal entry, but you'll see it puts today's date in it. And then you've got your information at the bottom. So although you end up with one rich text document, if you wanted that to be something different, and I know Debbie did want that to be something different, if I wanted that to have different text in it or something. Technically speaking, simple to edit, but be mindful of the fact that despite the fact it's a rich text document, that's the output of a script. So sometimes even the ones that look incredibly basic, not so basic. That's going to be based on a script. So to edit it, you're going to have to get deep and dirty with it. But let's have a look. Right, so back to data, new from template, and open the templates folder. Let's have a look at it. Right, this is the templates. Well, this is your DEVONthink folder. There's your inbox. There's your inbox database. There's all kinds of other stuff in here, but the one that we're interested in is templates.noindex. When you go into there, that replicates, although it might not, yeah, it probably will be alphabetical. Let's go and have a look. Journal entries at the bottom, but other than that, it's alphabetical. Okay. So basically anything that's in that folder will appear in here, in that menu, which is great news as far as we're concerned. Where's my little note gone? Right, there you are. Back you come. Okay, it's great because it makes it very easy for you to create custom content. Now, if what you wanted in this one's not a good one to try and turn into a template at this stage, because any changes you make to here and then you turn that into a template will have the wrong date on. It needs to be the scripted version to automatically add the time and date. So you'd need to do that in a totally different way. But if we take a really simple example, which was our course outline, if I would like that to be a template, it really couldn't be much easier. So what I did over here when I was prepping, I created a new folder. Now, we could call that custom, or we could call that course creation, whatever you want to do. Let's say course creation, because we're going to create kind of 5 different templates. So I create a folder for course creation, and then in here, a couple of ways to do it, but the easiest way is just to make sure that you have got the item that you want to be the template selected. Go to File, and in there we should have, where have you gone? Where have you gone? I'm sure it was on here. Oh, was it actually up here? No, it's in there. File, save as. Where on earth's it gone? Okay, we'll do that. Let's put template in. Oh, it's export as template. There we go. Right, export as template. I will do that once again slowly. So File, Export as template. I swear I didn't do that last night. I wonder why. It's moved. Right, Export as template, which automatically takes you to the templates no index folder. Right, give me 1 second while I come out of there. Why am I not coming out of there? Oh, never mind, that'll just have to do without crying out loud. Do you know, one day I'll tell you what I'm up to while I'm trying to do this, and you'll laugh your little cotton socks off. Okay, right. So in here, it shows you all of the groups that pre-exist and the one I created, because they're just folders. So go into there, it takes the name of the object already, which is course outline, and I just hit save. It doesn't make any changes to the one in DEVONthink at all. But now I can go into a totally different database. So I'm in After Hours at the moment, but I'm going to whip into Mail Archive just to show you that when I go to Data, New from Template, I can go down to Course Creation, and there's my course outline. And I have a new course outline. So one of the benefits of templates is that they live outside of any particular database, so they can be used across all your databases. All you need to think about is what kind of templates you would like and how best to organise them. So for a course, we've already got a course outline. Let's say I decide I'm going to put in... let's go for something tricky, shall we? Or should I just make one of my own?
Neil's asked in the chat if Jonathan's still there.
I reckon Johnny will have long
We
gone.
don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is. But you know what? Depending on when he went, he's actually managed longer than last week. So, slowly, slowly. Right. That one is simple. But let me make you another one. Let me just duplicate that. Right. So this is my course outline copy. But it's not going to be. This one's going to be my lesson plan. And in here, I would put in maybe the date, due date for the lesson plan, content of the lesson plan. So let's put a topic in. Your tutor's good enough, subject's good enough, version's good enough. Okay. Right, so we have a lesson plan now and a course outline. These would probably live in the same group, wouldn't they? So I would probably have these grouped together. So let's group the items. And this would be my course admin. So it's all the admin about my course. Right, what I can do, instead of having each one of these individually, I could put a course, in fact it's not admin, it's management, course management. There we go, course management. And what I can do with that is exactly the same principle. So file export as template. It's going to be in course creation, but this time it's going to be the whole structure. So this is create me a course management folder. So I could even actually put course management folder. Right, and save that. And then I'm going to whip back to the other database, which didn't have one of those, and go up to data new from template course creation. This time I've got something different. This time I have a different icon. What that's telling me is that this thing is going to do more than just add me one item. It's got a different icon indicating it's going to create something for me, a structure. So when I click that, it creates a group. Within the group, it's actually got the content. And it says it's a duplicate because obviously I had course creation, the course outline in there to start with. But you've stepped it up from one item to creating a structure of items. And the thing is, it doesn't matter whether that's 2 items within one group or whether it's a million items in 500,000 groups. It doesn't matter. Principle is the principle is the principle. Now, what if, that's as good as far as it goes, but what if you wanted to make a change to one of the ones that's already there, which Debbie asked, and it was this one she wanted to make changes to. And the problem with making changes to it in here, because you said in the last mail, it's only an RTF. It is, but it's the result of a script. So any changes I make to this and then save it as a template won't really do me much good. It won't automate the addition of the date. It won't automate the addition of the time. So for that, we need something different. If we go up to data and new from template, we can get to the templates folder, which we are aware of. We've already been there. It's this no index one. And we now have this journal entry and it's a DT template. So if we right click on it, in fact, what I'll do is just to make sure we don't have any little problems, we'll make an entry, journal entry, custom. Right. So what we'll do with that is we will right click it and show the package contents. And this shows you that you have 3 folders within the outer package. You have the English one, you have the French one, and you have the German one. And you can see that we'll concentrate on the English one because, you know, Tracy's the expert with languages. I am not. Right. It's called percentage long date percentage. That is a DEVONthink thing. It's a DEVONthink reserved word, and it will replace it at the time it's created with the long date. So that's why we have that in there. It's an RTF file, so we could open that. What should we open it with? Just open it with a default. It should be text edit. There we go. Right. What it's got in it, this one isn't scripted. It's got magic beans in it, but it's not scripted. The magic beans are these things here. These reserved words, variables, call them what you like. So made where, if we didn't want that to say made where, if we wanted that to say made at MacBites HQ, then we'd actually type that in. This one here and the other two, the date and time, obviously are reserved. So what you would need to do if you wanted to edit that is work out what the other codes are. Now, what was the actual change you wanted to make? Was it in the date format? Is it something with the date that you wanted to change? Because if you wanted like a different date format, DEVONthink would need to support it for that to work. And you would need to know what the reserved word was, what the code word was, and you would need to put that there. So for instance, if I wanted mine to say a date and time, although that's not the best thing I've ever decided to do, is it? But we'll make it smaller. We will make it small. We will make it fit. Can we type in there as well to make it much smaller? There we go. That'll work. Right, what I would need to do then is like put that in there. I want a dash between them. Copy that and put it there, which has sent it out again. But you get the idea. I'm only doing this to edit it. And here we might want something else. You wanted to be able to put in health tracking information. Okay, we can do that. So let's say we've moved the... Now I'm typing into the chat. Right, let's say we put in there steps. And again, we make that tiny so we can see it. So we'll put that in 8.6, something like that. No, you're going to need to be really tiny, aren't you? Okay, let's keep going. Right, there we go. Seem to have put a large bullet point on it, that's why, but never mind. Right, where are the steps counts coming from? If you wanted to be prompted for it, that would need script. But if it didn't, if you just wanted to type in your steps there, then you can leave it like that. We'll look at the prompts down the line. But for the moment, let's leave it like that. It'll do. One thing you can do, if you don't like the journal entry, a bit boring, isn't it? Let's change the font. So all the stuff that you're doing in here, where's Zapfino? Zapfino was the one that they actually used for the other one. So I've got a nice thing up there, and you could put images on here or whatever you want, right? Let's just save that as it goes. Right, so out of there. Now, technically speaking, go into here, go to data, new from template. Now we have two entries, and one of them is our custom one. When we go into it, it's picked up the long date, because that was the code, but we now have our pretty journal entry. And although this would need dealing with, so you need to spend some time with it, sorting it out, we do have steps. You can click in there and say you have done your 10,000 steps. So you could add extra prompts to it, as many as you like. It is just an RTF file, but you need to start from the starting point, so you've got the codes that you need. You will find a fuller list of codes in the DEVONthink manual. Right, your other option would be to go into the folder again. So into your more templates. And just to show you, no, not that one. That's not the one I want. New from templates, open templates folder. That's what I want. Right, the more complicated ones that you have are things that are doing things, the ones that actually ask you questions as they go. And I'm trying to find one that does indeed ask you questions as you go. Which one did I edit? I swear I edited one of these. Those are what we've created today. There it is, the daily journal one. Now the daily journal one, would I be able to make the entries in DEVONthink to go? Yes, once you've created them. Now template-wise, I've not actually tried that, because the templates live on the Mac, don't they? If you've got the page already there, you would. I'd have to have a look at how, if we could take what we've built on the Mac and actually get it onto the iPad. But these ones here, they've got a different extension on them. They are not just DT templates, these are template scripts. So what I did with this was, right-clicked on it, show package contents, and it actually shows you the contents. Double-click on that. You have your info plist, and you have your resources. Keep drilling down. Go into the resources, and it actually does give you a description, and it tells you well, supposedly it tells you what it's going to do. You have again the German one, and this time you've got the English thing. Now this is just the language. It's just localizable strings, which means that you have headlines equals headlines. If you look at the German one, I'm not even going there. No, I'm not. You're the German thing. Maybe you can pronounce it. No, not me. But it's basically a translation list. If I refer to this word, show that word. If I show this word, show the other word. That's just localizations. Where the interest starts...
Schlagzeilen.
Oh, you see, you're very good, aren't you? Right, and here's the script. So this is the meat of this template. It's actually an Apple script. If we open that up, this is the script editor, which we saw briefly when we looked at BBEdit, and that is a script. And that is what you would need to edit if you want to make any changes to what actually comes out. So here we've got set the date to the current date, and it says format the time and strip out the seconds but keep the AM indicator. So if you're looking through this and you wanted it to do something else, then you actually edit the script. Format the month number, format the day. Keep going, keep going. And down here there would be more information that you're actually adding. So tell the text of my record to be. And now it's putting the actual contents in. It's formatting it as Georgia, size 16. So if you wanted to change that, you could come in here and change that to Avenir. And when the script runs, it will obey what you have put in. So if you don't want it to have headlines in it at all, just take the block out and then it won't do the headlines. If you want the headlines to have a different headline, you could change that. So if I wanted it to say news, I could do that. So let's put news. What else have we got in here? We've got Georgia. Let's try Avenir. Did I see Avenir's Georgia somewhere else? Here we go. There's Georgia. Let's change it to Avenir. Now you'll see what's happening as I'm actually typing this in. They're not the same colour as they were. Can we do a Georgia? Make sure there's no more of those, and I don't see any. So I've changed all that I need to change in terms of the fonts. When I use the hammer button, which is the compile, it will run through, and that's when it will change to the correct format, as long as there's no mistakes. And it doesn't look like there are any mistakes. So I'll save that. Come out of the whole thing, but back here, go into the data and new from template, and where did I have that one? There was two of them. Where were they? Come on, which one did I edit? Wasn't you. Wasn't you. There we go, daily journal copy. So the daily journal, the default one, looks like that. This is the Georgia font. Right, so that's what the daily journal does. But if I go in and I use the one I've just edited, in productivity daily journal copy, it's still the flaming same. That should not be. I've just edited it. I've just edited it. But that's Avenir. So that one worked. I just probably need to go and make sure that there were no other Avenirs anywhere. But yes, that did actually work. It worked. In fact, could it be that... Yeah, I tell you what, let me just in this journal, go delete the journal. And empty the trash. Empty the trash. Right, let's go make the journal again. But this time the other one wasn't there, so mine should take priority. So let's do that. There we go. Everything is Avenir. So editing the script isn't as horrific as you might think it is. Just decide what exactly it is that you want to achieve with it and then edit the script if you are comfortable with editing the script. Tracy says, don't ask me about German, it's all Greek to me. German I'm not good with. French I know odd words. Spanish I know odd words. My pronunciation is probably absolutely appalling, but I do know some words. All from ABBA songs. Fantastic. Hasta mañana. Yeah, because it was on a song. Okay, right. I did have a couple of tips, and if you want to ask any questions about DEVONthink, now is your chance before Mike starts. Now is your chance. One of the things I wanted to show you, it was a little bit erratic trying to get it to work, to be honest, but we will try. All right, what I'm going to do is go find some posters. Jonathan's asleep. We can talk now about 134 with Gay Abandon. And he'll be none the wiser.
Oh, we will in the morning.
Oh, he will in the morning, yes. Would I do that to Jonathan? We love Jonathan. Come on. Right. What are these posters called that I'm looking for? Or did I just put them somewhere? Oh, I was looking for those before. Now I found the files I was looking for before. Or did I just shove them somewhere? Which is more than likely. You are very welcome, Debbie. I hope that explains what you need to do to get it to work, to do what you need it to do. Here we go. Right. Artwork. Time for... No, that's not the one. Nearly there. Nearly there. MacBites show art. Way, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to drag the MacBites show art. This is for a new MacBites. Where's Jonathan when you need him? I will drag it into After Hours just because I can. But before Jonathan gets really excited, it's the artwork for Tuesday. Okay, you've seen that already. So I've got all of these files. Now, sometimes I can get this to work and sometimes I can't, and I really don't know why. It just has a mind of its own. Right, let's go up there. Oh, it's feeling good at the moment. Right. There is a table of contents option and a create table of contents option. So it's the create table of contents option. We are now off into tips and tricks that I wanted to show you. I've added all of those images, and obviously that's images. It actually makes even more sense if it's text, that you've added 10, 20, 50 files and you would like jump off points to go look at that content. So I did that through there because I can never find the flaming thing. Right, tools. Okay, we'll do it properly. Tools, create table of contents. So I've selected a group of contents. In this case, it's all artwork. And I'm going to make a table of contents. And this will create a completely new file for you. And in it, it will be a table of contents. Now, obviously, in the folder itself, that's mildly interesting. But you could drag the table of contents. So let's say at the very top level, we created a group that was index to contents. And in that folder, we take all of the table of contents from elsewhere. So in this case, that would be MacBites show art. And put that in... Where's it disappeared to? Where did the table of contents just go? Index to contents, there we go. Put that in there. And do the same with all of the other things. So we've got these two in there. Grab hold of those. Tools, create table of contents. Obviously, not very exciting. But we'll call that our Scrivener course. And we'll put that in our index to contents. And now you have a master folder, the index to contents. When you look through these, it shows you all of the files. And I'm looking for the one that goes in the email. And that is that one. And I click it and it loads in that image. I go to the Scrivener course index and I go to the lesson plan, and instantly it takes me to the lesson plan. As I say, the way it's created is to select the content you want added to the index, to the table of contents, and then an RTF file is created in the folder that contains the content, which, you know, is less than ideal. You want the index potentially somewhere else like that. So what I would do with my index to contents is put 2 underscores at the beginning, which would push it to the top. Whenever I go into the database, anything that I deemed important enough to have an index of its own would be listed in here, and then I can just go and look at the artwork like that. And obviously from here, actually, you know, that's not as interesting as it might be. Thinking about dragging and dropping it out, I might need a different view for that. But it's an index. So depends on the content you're putting in, but if it's genealogy, I can imagine that being quite important. you could call the index. So let's say the index itself, like this one, instead of just having like 2 items in, you had birth certificate, marriage certificate, X, Y, Z, and they're all in a folder for that particular person. Then this would then become person name. And then you would put that, instead of an index to contents, index to people. And you can very quickly look down the list. You can sort them by name. You might want to put the surname at the beginning. You can put extra custom information in. But once you click on it, you've got a quick link to their marriage certificate, their birth certificate, their death certificate. So it depends on how you're structuring your database. I just thought that was worthy of being an extra little tip. None of the ones that we've built in our Build With Me's actually needed that. Didn't need it. So I just thought I would show you that. Right, do we have any other questions before we finally, maybe potentially wrap up DEVONthink? But I'm sure DEVONthink will come back to us, to haunt us as it were at some point. If you have got any, are there any directions about script editing in the DEVONthink manual? Yes, there is. But do bear in mind that the DEVONthink scripting instructions really relate to the custom DEVONthink part of it. You may be advised in terms of scripting itself to look at information about Apple scripting. But yes, there is information in the DEVONthink manual. That is probably going a little bit far for the audience that we've got, but I know that you guys are very interested in that, so have a look at the manual. There's also a discourse forum for DEVONthink. Only thing I'd say with that is be careful, some of the stuff is as old as the hills. Some of the information is really old. Right, it looks like you enjoyed that, the DEVONthink series. We're not going to be totally abandoning DEVONthink. Not yet, we're not. Right, okay, so I'm going into freebies. And the freebies today are WordPress themes. These are potentially very expensive WordPress themes. They are all from Envato, and they are available free for a few days. So we've got, I think it's $39, $19 and $59. So they work on any WordPress site. Even if you just want to download them, have a play with them and see how they work, you know, they are very good, high quality designs to have a play around with. And they are available until the 2nd of October. You do need a free account, but they don't bombard you with anything. Because Mike's got a free account and he doesn't get bombarded. I know these things. Right, are you ready to automate the Marooned?
No.
Oh, automate the Marooned at MacBites. Oh, no, I did put chat in.
I'm posting things in the chat.
Okay, well, when you finish posting things in the chat, I'll be heading into the chat and we'll see how we go from there.
Right, and now I need to press record.
Nobody asked if I'd done that this week. Went through my checklist this week, so everything's fine. Right, I'll get it that you can see Mike's screen.
Now I am ready.
While he plays around with it. Right, okay, let me get up there. Let's get your screen. Let's share your screen. Is your level okay?
La 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 la.
Nobody needed to hear that, Mike. Just saying.
Should be.
Right, in that case, you're good to go. I'll leave you with it. Don't squeak your chair.
If I talk loud enough, I might wake Johnny up.
No. No, because I'm about to lap him this week.
All right.
Yeah, it's 16 today if I do it.
Right, let me get on with this. All right, after providing an overview of automating the after hours chat last week, I thought that what I would do is show you how I get the chat from Marooned into Notion. The process is slightly different. There are a lot of similarities, but it is slightly different because the data is slightly different. So the chat on the MacBites FM website is powered by a third-party service, and it's actually the same service that's used by request on Brooklands 196. So what I do is once Marooned is over, I log into the back end and I download a zip file. And inside the zip file, there is a single text file. And then I rename that text file and call it chat. And the reason I do that is because I'm going to be using Power Query in Excel. And as you know from previous weeks, with Power Query, although you can go and edit the query and point to a different file name, it's much easier if the file name is the same. So when I first set the query up 180 days ago, then...
I thought you were going to say years.
Well, it feels like it at times. 180 days ago, I called the file chat. So to keep consistency, I just rename it chat. First of all, before I show you that text file, here is Notion. And this is our chat logs. I think I showed you this last week, but I've done a filter just to show the Marooned. So if I go into yesterday's, let's go and have a look at yesterday's. It is very, very similar to the after hours. But what I've got is I've got a copy of a CSV file. So I actually convert the chat file into a CSV file and add some columns and remove some columns, and then upload a copy of that into this record here. And then the actual chat itself is displayed as a table. So you can see that we've got the actual chat message, we've got the name of the person, we've got the date and the time, and we've got the show link. And then further across, we've got the unique chat log ID. So each record, each row in the table has its own unique chat log ID, which is made up of the date, Marooned at MacBites headquarters initials, the day number, and then a unique number, just a sequential number. With the date and time, we don't have to worry about going past midnight, so we haven't got all of that. If it's 1 or 2, then it's the next day, otherwise it's the starting day. Although you never know, it could happen. It could happen. We could take a Marooned after midnight, but we're not going to, because then I'd have to change my script.
I was thinking Marooned after midnight would be good.
Yeah, Marooned after. Yeah, if we start after midnight, then.
Oh, do I get 2 points if Jonathan's asleep before midnight and after?
Then I won't have to change my script. Okay, so let's just go back a page. Right, so let me show you this text file. This is exactly what comes out of the third-party chat system. So I will just open that in. I'll use Sublime, but any text editor will do. First of all, it doesn't have headings. So for whatever reason, this text file has no headings. The first column, I have no idea what that is. It's just 0 all the way down. The second column is the date and time. The third after hours one that comes from YouTube, this is just tab separated, not comma separated. The thing you've got to be careful of with all these systems, with YouTube and with well, pretty much any system, is that sometimes they will change the structure. And you know, there are several times when I've looked at the output of the after hours chat and I'm thinking, that wasn't there last week, that wasn't there, they've added that column, they've removed that column, they've changed the order. It's one of those things that you've just got to live with, but then that means changing the scripts accordingly. Okay, so that was the text file. And then the actual generator is, like last week, an Excel file. If I just, what I'll do is I'll switch to my virtual machine, but I will drag that text file so it is in my virtual machine, because it needs to be on my desktop to be able to update the query. So I'm going to go into the MacBites admin folder, which lives on Google Drive, but I've got a shortcut on my desktop. And I'm going to open up this MacBites, Marooned at MacBites headquarters chat generator. It's an Excel file, it's an XLSM file. and I'll talk you through this file. So what we've got here is we've got a chat sheet. There's 3 sheets to this file. The chat sheet contains the chat from the previous day. Or should I say it contains the chat from the last time I actually saved the file. And as I tend to save it on a daily basis, I can pretty much guarantee that it's got the chat in from the previous day. But it looks a little bit different to the underlying text file. That's because I've removed those zeros at the beginning. I've removed the IP address. I've added a show link so that we can link it back to an actual page on the MacBites FM website. And I've just changed the order of the columns around so that the text is first followed by the name, because that's how we like to display it in Marooned. In Notion. So there we go. Those are the that's the chat from yesterday. And that, all I will do is, and I'll do this shortly, all I'll do is do a refresh, and that will update the query. But before I do, we'll go and look at the query. The variables sheet, what I've done here is I've created a lookup table. And this lookup table starts on the 16th of March and right now goes all the way to the 31st of December. It was going to a lot less than that.
Yeah, as I recall, at the end of March.
Yeah, I think it was going to about July. And then I thought, let's extend it to the end of the year.
Have you mentioned the 99 issue?
No, I haven't.
There you go.
I think I mentioned this the other week when I just did a brief overview of this. Yeah, originally it only went up to day 99. And when I ran the script for day 100, there was an error. And there was an error in the file name. And it was all to do with the formula in G2 that generates the file name. And I thought, well, I'm not going to fix this error. I didn't know what it was. I thought, I'm not going to fix it because we're only going to take it up to like day 105. And, you know, I can manually edit the file name of the CSV that gets uploaded to Notion before I upload it to Notion. And then as the days progressed and we got to day 110 and 120 and so on, I thought, yeah, we could keep going here.
Best fix it, you thought.
I thought, yeah, best fix it. It wasn't a VBA problem, actually. It was a problem with that file name formula, which I'll show you in a minute. So yeah, it goes now up to the end of the year, and then we've just got sequential numbers that show us the day number. But what I've done is I've made it a table. So if I click into this data and I go up to the table tab, you can see the table is called TBL days. And then at the bottom, and I've mentioned this many times before, we've got the little blue dot on B292. And the idea is that some of the formulas refer to that range there. And if I'd not made it a table, then as I add more rows of data, which I will only have to do after the end of the year, so it could be a close run thing as to whether I have
I'm
to
with
do it
Kim. She said 2 to 3 years. If it's 3 or anywhere between 2 to 3, you'll get over 1,000 then, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
We mustn't giddy Jonathan at this time of the morning, you know.
No. Shall I put them in? Ready? Well, no, I'll just leave it to the end of the year. But yeah, rather than me having to go and edit the formula, because there's a lookup formula which references A1 to B292. And then when we get to next year, I would have to edit that lookup formula so it looks at the extra rows. But by making it a table and calling the table TBL days, I'll whiz back up to the top. You can see that the lookup formula in here is looking at TBL days. It's not looking at a fixed range. But that VLOOKUP, what it's actually doing is it's picking up the date from C2 on this chat sheet. So it's picking up the date which is showing us the 10th. So this is actually yesterday's. And then it's looking that up in column A. And then it's going to the second column. We've done VLOOKUP many times before. So here's a real world example. It's picking up the value from the second column of that lookup table based on the day. So it's going in this case down to the 10th of September. Where are we? There we go. And picking up 179 and putting it in there, which is why I have to do the refresh at the beginning of this process, so it then picks up day 180, or should I say day
180. Here's what you could have won.
Then we've got the date, which is being picked up directly from the chat sheet, and the date and the day number are both being used to generate part of the unique chat log ID. So we've got a long-winded formula in there, and again they're both being used to generate the file name. So I'm not going to talk through those formulas, but they are basically static text combined with bits and pieces out of D2 and E2. And then we've got the output sheet, and what the output sheet is doing is basically that is going to be the CSV file, because when you save as a CSV file, when you've got an Excel file, which this one is an XLSM file, and you save it as a CSV, it will only save one sheet. So you've got a multi-sheet Excel file, and when you do save, it will only save one sheet. So this is the sheet that is going to be saved. The query, if I show you the query, so let's go and bring up the queries panel. There's actually two queries. One query pulls the data in from the text file, that's QRY chat, and the other query generates the day number. Well, actually, it doesn't generate the day number. The day number is already generated from here. But what that second query does is it goes to that cell, grabs what's in there, and then uses it to feed it through to the other query. So let me show you. If I go and edit this first query, what this first query does is it goes to the chat.txt file on my desktop. Okay, it changes the data types of a couple of fields, like the date and time field. It removes the columns that we don't need, so the column with the zeros and this blank column 4, which seems to have been put in there somehow, and the IP address column. So it gets rid of all those. Then it reorders the columns, so it makes sure that the text goes first. Then it renames the columns, so instead of columns 1, 2 and 3, or whatever numbers we've got, it gives them meaningful names. And then it adds the show link. Now it's adding the show link by taking the fixed text of the URL and adding to it the value of this other query, QRY day number. And the query QRY day number is getting its value from that cell in the spreadsheet. So you've got two queries working together, one query pulling data from the spreadsheet. And then finally, it is replacing the curly quotes with a straight quote, which was a problem we had last week, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, wasn't it?
And that's because of the way that the text is stored in the text file. So that's just a typical data cleansing. Once it's done that, you've got, and I haven't run the query, but once it's done that, you'll then have the updated data in the chat sheet. But there's more stuff that needs to be done. I need to copy this data over to the output sheet, I then need to generate the unique chat log ID, and that would go in column E, and then I need to save as a CSV. So what I've actually done is created, like I did with the after hours one, and it's almost a duplication of the after hours one, which I'm not going to go through again. If you weren't here last week, go and have a look at the recording of that. But it's basically about 5 separate macros, and I took the refreshing and I automated that as well. I thought there's no point manually doing a refresh and then running a series of macros. You might as well run the whole thing off macros. So on the variable sheet there is a generate CSV file, generate CSV button that runs the macros one after the other. So now if we look at the chat, we've got today's date and 180. I'm going to say it again just for fun.
180!
And then we've got the output sheet. And what that output sheet has done is actually created the CSV file. So I can close this file down. Be careful here, read the message, because it's asking if I want to save the changes to the CSV file, not to the Excel file. If I want to save the Excel file, I'll just hit save. Actually, that was the CSV file, wasn't it? So don't save that. There is the chat file, which I no longer need. There
Kimmy's only 6 days off 200.
She is, isn't she?
We're having a party for that one.
There is the CSV file, which I will drag onto my Mac desktop and delete it from my Windows desktop, because my OCD kicks in and I like to tidy things up straight away. There we go. I've just hang on, that is yesterday's file. My OCD has got the better of me. So luckily I've got my recycle bin. Let's drag that out of the recycle bin. I shouldn't be deleting files so quick, should I? There we go. Okay, now I can delete that from the Windows. And I'll actually delete the raw text file because I no longer need that. And now I need to get it into Notion. So you can see I've already created a number of records in the chat logs file. I haven't quite taken it up to the end of the year, just taken it up to day 190. So I will open up day 180. I will click on the field for the files and then upload that file there. So that is now uploading the CSV. We don't have to do that, but it just means that we have a backup copy of the CSV should we ever need it. And then I will actually import the CSV into a table down here. So what I do here is I create an empty page, and from the empty page I click import. I then click on CSV, choose the CSV file I want to import, and it does the import. I then just need to tidy up the layout of this page, so I will make it a full width page. Actually, I just want to go back up a level. This is where I make it a full width page. And I want to make the table an inline table rather than just having a link to it. And there it is. So that is how. Why is that showing November the 9th?
And now he finds out his script's broken. Oh no!
Well, it was working yesterday, I think.
Famous last words, that happened to me. I swear that save as template was not nested yesterday.
Okay, let's just go and have a look at yesterday's.
His OCD's kicking in. Have you noticed how he's completely OCD free when it comes to updating software? Just saying.
Yeah. Well, that's not as important as getting this working. Yeah, September the 10th. Okay, what's gone wrong? I don't know. 180. Where's 180 gone? Something's gone wrong. I will sort it out whilst you're doing your bit. But that's the process anyway. So that's how we get the chat out and into Notion. So do we have any questions? I don't think we do. All right. I'm going to pass back to you and try and sort this script out.
Okay. Right, let's get back to my desktop. There we go. Right, where's that disappeared to? Okay. Something a bit different. We decided we'd do something workflow related, and then we decided that there were other things happening. You know the secret project. So we would run the two together. We would do something that was genuine, a real workflow, where there needs to be a predictable outcome or something at the end. Not one of these, let's just take a punt and see where we end up. No, we need to have something predictable at the end. And the working name of it was Project Number 13. Shall we explain why yet?
No.
We'll keep you in suspense as to why Project Number 13. But let's go and have a look at Project Number 13. Right, still wondering about secret projects 1 to 12. Lots of things to share about that. But many moons ago, let's get Firefox up and let's get another window on that. And let's do that. And let's do that and get that on the main screen. Okay. Many moons ago, Mike and I put together. Now, well, actually, I did it, didn't I?
Yeah.
There's none of this business of you. I sorted it out. You may have noticed if you've been to the MacBites site, somewhere in here, there is a link to it. Oh, tell me there is. Or is it on the page? I never know where we put it, you know. Let's try shows. Love potion number 9. Do you know, I've been thinking of cloud number 9. Right, is it on here? I don't see it on there either. I'm crying out loud. Right, it's definitely on here somewhere. I'm just not quite sure where exactly we've put it. Is it on our story? That would actually make sense, unless it's down the bottom of somewhere. Oh, look at his little face. That was the day. Was that in Liverpool? It was, wasn't it? I think that was the day MacBites Siri was born. Oh, how fabulous. There we go. MacBites the iBook. Right. What happened was I was doing... this app came out, iBooks Author, and I decided I would demo it. And I was about... He getting married. Oh, yeah, because that's so likely at the moment, isn't it? Not yet. I decided I would need to put a book together to be able to demonstrate the product. And as it says there, MacBites the iBook takes you on a journey from October 2007, when MacBites began, through to January 2012. So it was 5 years of MacBites. Guess what? Not been updated since. Shameful, I know. So we decided it was time to have a look at it. And I said, you know what? That would make a great project to follow along with. Every year we do something for NaNoWriMo. Last year it was blogging and we did all the Scrivener stuff. So this year we're going to redo that. But obviously doing it as an iBook, a bit of an issue. Because iBooks Author is no longer officially supported, although I've got it and I can use it. We're going to have to see down the line what we can do in terms of formats. But basically, need to redo that. And we need your input to do it. Now, I think I've briefly shown you this before, but I've got... This is where I'm starting from. I have that. So it really is the beginning of a project. So even if you're not interested in the book part of this, it's a project. Where on earth do you start? Particularly when you have something that you're moving from to a new version, edition, call it what you like. Because you start to see all the problems. You think, oh, I've got 5 years done, so I only need to worry about the other 8. Yeah, but then you look at that and you realise what the problems are. So just to give you an idea of some of the problems. MacBites iBook assets. Fabulous, got them, no problem. Sketch. Don't use it anymore. Have no idea what's in that file. So you might think, well, download it and away you go. When I bought Sketch, it was $5.99. Sketch is now over £100 a year activated on a single machine. This may explain why I don't use Sketch. So one thing that I would need to do is find a way to view that, find out what assets are in it, and find out, do they need recreating? If they do, then they'd need to be recreated in Affinity Designer. This is the actual iBook that we can actually open and have a look. I've got iBook, MacBites the iBook. I've got the unzipped content, which we'll come back to. I've got this one that says it's a Keynote file, which I have no idea. There's stuff missing from that. What on earth is that? No idea. So often when a client approaches me and with like, a few years ago we did this and we want to kind of do it again but better. Here's all the stuff. This is the mess that you inherit. If this had have been done right, and I do have one big defence, which is, how many pages were in that? It's about 100 and odd. It had to be done in 10 days while I was learning a brand new application and preparing for a training session. I did not have the nicety of time to be able to do it correctly and file everything neatly and have a naming structure and all of that. Because you can either do that or you can get the job done. And I opted for getting the job done. But now, MacBites Lady Pipes merch. I think Lady Pipes might need to make an appearance, and that's where you guys come in. So basically, we will be starting a project with this, but the first thing we need to do is kind of look at what we've got and think, oh, what an unholy mess, and then bring some semblance of order to it. My plan at the moment, which makes this quite different than the usual session we do, would be, looks like DEVONthink is a good way to organise the content. Make notes about the content, bring structure to it, work out what's missing. Because if you think about it, if I'm looking at a file structure like that and I think, oh, there's some text. Great. Where's chapter 3? You wouldn't know chapter 3 was missing until you actually come to look for chapter 3. In DEVONthink, you've got a huge benefit that you can put a note that says chapter 3 content is missing. So I'm thinking DEVONthink is the way forward. First thing I'd probably need to do is a full content audit. But just so you know what page we're already on and why we need your help, let's have a look at it. So I'm going to come back to the unzipped content. I'm going to come back to the Keynote file. I have no idea. No idea. We got some text. We've got some source stuff. All of these will need redoing. So I'll be doing demonstrations of all of this. That one actually looks okay. And this was the new branding. But that obviously is a mini tablet. It's the iPad mini. And it doesn't look like that anymore. And some of these, like that, doesn't look like that anymore either. Again, we've got assets that I can't get access to, so I can't redo that spine without taking out a subscription on Sketch just to do a few jobs. That's what that should actually look like. Then we've got the hardback book looking the other way. So it's all of the assets and stuff like that. The whole lot will need redoing. So how do you fancy sharing the entire project with me? I'm hoping so. It'll be a multi-parter. Let's have a look at the actual iBook itself and give you an idea of the type of content that we're looking at. Are you thinking of opening? Jolly good. Yes, I know all about it, and I'm very peeved. Right, this is like a half-done one that I use in the demo, hence it being untitled. But the beauty of an iBook, and I have no idea how we're going to work around some of this now, is that, you've got your title in there, and your cover, you've got all of your introductory media. Oh, Paul might be able to open my Sketch file. I can only look at it longingly, Paul. Trouble with sketches, what does it save out as now? Could you save it as a, I guess Illustrator would work? We'll have to work around it, won't we? So I got introductory media. I think there was a video at some point. Built a table of contents for the whole thing. There was the glossary type of table of contents, defined terms that we could put in it. And then we had a whole range. This one actually isn't the whole book, is it? This is just chapter 1. But I have got the whole book. And then we had the content. So we've got stuff like this text. That's going to be a bit of an issue. Do we have to take this text out of here? We've got videos. How on earth we're going to play the videos? We've got text wrapping around this. So basically it's going to be the entire project, soup to nuts. But what we had took us up to 2012. What we need is to be taken up to the end of 2020, which is where you guys come in. We want to know your MacBite stories. How did you find us? What was the first show? Anything like that. What you love about it. You can even tell us what you hated about it if you like. And then we can collaborate and put it all together into the new version. But we have no idea at the moment what that looks like, because there is not a replacement for iBooks Author. You can see we had audio shows in it. We had video shows in it. It was fabulous. And, there is no equivalent. So we're not even sure actually where we're heading. But what we want to do is to collate all of the little stories like the lady pipes and all the rest of it. In this one, we had Mike and the flip-flops, didn't we? Jane's thongs. Jane lives in Australia, and over there, thongs are what we know in the UK as flip-flops. And there was a picture of Mike wearing them. So it's all of the things like that, and also all of the things that some of you guys might not actually be aware of if you've not been with us since the beginning. Even we can't remember. There is like MacBites folklore, isn't there? And in the folklore, we have lesbian vampire killers. We have the Goombay Dance Band. Some of them we know the origins of the story. Some of them we don't. We can't remember. So we're going to have to mine all of this as well. So we want you guys to tell us, give us your Mac Love Bites. What do you love about your technology? All the kind of things that we have in the show, we're going to put in here when we work out what on earth this is. So that is what we intend to do. That's what we've got. That's what we're working from. This is not good. It's not good because when we go back and have a look, there must actually be another version of it, probably this copy. Let's have a look at that and see if that's actually the full thing, because that was at the end of that year. That one looks like a work in progress. That's more like it. So this one's got all of the content in that we put in the last one. So when we say want your help, this is the kind of thing that people did last time when we put this together. We had Simon, that's a different Simon, who said he really loved his webcam. McJim the Real had just bought a Leica camera. Needless to say, Mark Dalton, he just loves Maltesers. We had Amanda. Did she actually buy that? Oh, the flowery iPad case. Oh, no. Osrose, and she loved hyperlinks. So we put that in and we put the audio in as well. Jane's MacBook Air. So basically things that you love with your tech. Could be an app, it could be anything. But let us know. Because obviously we put all of that in here. Somebody actually loved... Oh, that was Lion Discmaker, not Lion. Nobody loved Lion. But he loved Lion Discmaker. And Simon had another one as well. He had a white MacBook. You had a white MacBook, didn't you?
I had a white MacBook.
Yeah, it didn't last long. Mike killed it. Yeah, but that's the kind of thing that we need to collect and collate. So we've got to work out how we're going to reverse engineer the content out of here. Because I said what I didn't have time to do was put it in properly. So think about it. In here we've got chapter 1. And inside chapter 1 we've got content. So there's a piece of artwork. There's a piece of artwork. That one at the time we were just like, oh my word. To see somebody, obviously they had a brand new car, unlike us, ancient. Crank handle. And he's like, oh, good grief. Our names come up when he plays that. That's amazing. It was 2012. What can I say? But all of this stuff, links, text. Joe, it's amazing how many are still with us. Big Kev's still with us. And all about this. So there's pictures of Mike. There's the Aussie thongs. There they are. Oh, look at that. Hope nobody's eating. Just saying. Where are all these assets? Because obviously they're embedded in here, but where are they? That was the day MacBite Siri was born. Look at him. He was enjoying that. Rather too much, I fear. Where are they all? And like I said, my job was to get this out the door. My job was not to act as a librarian and collate the content. So I'm going to need to either find the originals or do some magic to get all of this stuff back in a usable format. Just to give you an idea, if you did need something, so like that picture.
Oh, me and a hot chocolate.
You and your hot chocolate in Starbucks. Yeah. Right, you can... Oh, this looks very, very different than it used to look. But in here, we should have... You can see in here you've got all the links it shows you've got. But somewhere in here, there should be some magic beans in relation to the content. And as you can see, there is a lot of this. This used to be great. Why would they break it? It was fantastic. Right, object placement, looking for that. Not seeing it right at the moment, unless it's somewhere else, because I haven't looked at this in years. But I'd be looking to... Kim feels a dirty hack's on the way. Yes, a dirty hack's going to have to be on the way, I would suspect. Some artworks goes without question. This bit down here, not a problem. Obviously, I know where that's coming from. This is our general artwork, so no problem. This was the posters for recent events. Yeah, recent, as in 2011, 2012. WWDC 20. We might even put in the Toblerone opening. Or we might actually save that till Christmas. What do you reckon?
No.
Oh, no. Have you got a date on it?
Yeah.
Oh. Are you prepared to share yet?
Shortly.
Oh. Right, he's made up his mind. Okay. Obviously, I don't think that would be relevant, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I'd be looking at the things that aren't in here. There's nothing in here about Marooned, obviously. There's nothing in here about After Hours. So there'll be new assets as well, but some of this stuff, there's no way you're going to be able to extricate it. This was the studio circa 2012. The chair's still there. Keyboard's different, mouse is different, Mac Mini's disappeared, microphone's different, the computer's different, the secondary monitor's different, everything is different, everything. Plus the fact you can't use this thing where you double click and it zooms in, because that's gone away. There you go, that was very cool, but it's gone away. So we'll have to think about how we can do that as well. But there'll be new pictures of the studio, etc. Look at the state of my desk. Thankfully, it doesn't look like that anymore. But there is the MacBites Magic Cupboard. That was my secondary monitor until the one that they threw over the fence, if you remember that. Just off screen on the right-hand side there, that black thing, is a filing cabinet. That got ditched. So I now have an extra monitor over there. The only thing that survived, it looks like a dummy piece in IKEA. That monitor was actually really good. We still have those two monitors. It was an Acer monitor. It was very, very good monitor. There is two pieces, three actually. But I don't use one anymore. So there's two pieces that have survived. Anybody guess what has survived off there? What's on my desk right now? That was on my desk right then, 8 years ago. In fact, it's nearly 9, isn't it? It's nearly 9 years ago. And two pieces of tech have survived. But which two? The
mouse mat.
The mouse mat is still there. I paid, you might want to sit down here, £36 for a mouse mat. Can I just say it's still there, though? It has actually survived. The mouse pad. Well done, Kim. The mouse pad was it. It's indestructible. Having said that, there's a crack in it, but it's indestructible. It's solid metal wrapped in some kind of plastic thing. And Tracy's got the other one, the speakers. No, not the keyboard. Not the keyboard. Neil and Tracy got the speakers. I still have the same speakers. Underneath the desk, there is a subwoofer for that. But the Magic Trackpad's been replaced by a new one. The Contour Shuffle's in a drawer, because I've got the other one.
Is Lola a subwoofer?
No, she's just a woofer. When she starts, there's no stopping her. And the desk is still the same, but it's been completely redone at the top. So carpentry on the top of the desk to extend the desk into where that magic cupboard is and out at the other side. That's probably about...
That's the old magic cupboard, isn't it?
That's the old magic cupboard that started to lean. We had a bit of an issue with that Leaning Tower of Pisa issue. So it had to go, and it's been replaced by MacBites. The MacBites Magic Cupboard 2.0. There you go. There's a piece for it. Make a note of that, Mike, instantly. So, yeah, basically we need to go through all of the stuff that is no longer relevant and add the stuff that is. And we did have merch. There you go. We had merch. We had mugs. We had hats. Jonathan's got a hat. Jonathan has a MacBites cap. There you go, with all the MacBites mugs.
Yeah, we've seen a picture of him in it.
We have. We've got a picture of Jonathan in that. There you go. Do I have 3 monitors now? I do. I've got 2 27-inch monitors, one either side of my central one. But like these images, they're all going to need to be changed. And we actually had iPad wallpapers. Oh, look at that. They were brand new at the time. That was the iPhone 4S. And we had all different versions. So we're going to have to go through this with the fine-tooth comb. We're looking to take what images we can and repurpose and add to it. So we want your stories like these guys shared their stories with their MacBites mugs. Which was great. They all got a mug and sent us photos. You all need to get something and send us a photo. I'm not even sure if the mugs are on the site anymore. There's a question. If we had a mug, would you buy a mug? MacBites merch. That's what you need. I definitely need to create the T-shirt that says MacBites and so does Elaine. Simon would love that. I feel that Simon and Mrs. Simon particularly would appreciate that.
And who wants to buy a MacBites thong?
Yes, and then of course there's the thong. We did actually have a thong for sale. Not even joking. So that's the actual book that I would not want really to go back to that and have to extract stuff. But I found a folder. And I thought, oh, I'm good to go here. Found a folder. Unzipped content. What was I thinking? There's no organisation. So this was what I was saying when I will walk you through exactly what I would need to do to fix that mess. So you can see we've got the photos. The original photos are there. But, what chapter are they from? I have no idea. That was actually, I think, Macworld one year. And Osrose went over. So I do have some photos, but they're just not organised. Tracy would definitely buy that shirt. I need to get onto that. Mike, make a note of the shirt. I can't wait to see Mike in one. That says MacBites on the front and then on the back, and so does Elaine. Unless, I don't know what I could put the PS on the back, unless she's watching the pandas, and then she's calm. Need to take the pandas shopping with me, clearly. So this was what I did in 2012. I know, I'm ashamed as well. It's shocking. It's totally shocking. In fact, it gets worse. I then came down here and thought, what's this? Oh, it's a PDF. Dropped image, dropped image, dropped image. Oh no, everything needs renaming as well. Let's just say there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm going to be sharing the process with you. But I don't just want you to sit and watch. You need to be included. So send us your stories. Send us your pictures of whatever. And we can collaborate. Make it a collaborative job. This is shocking. So what I would do with this, which I'll start doing next week, is probably dump the lot into DEVONthink. As like, just that's everything I've got. I mean, what on earth are these? These are the individual thumbnails from the iBook. So that's why they're so tiny, because the iBook needs to generate a thumbnail for each page for navigation. Deborah appreciates it, having worked with it. I know, what was I thinking? But all I can say in my defence was, I actually did write that book in about, I would say 10 days, but I did have a session to do about 3 days in. So probably nearer 6 days. I have no idea how I actually pulled that off. But obviously looking at this, I can see that pulling it off was one thing, making any sense of it, totally different beast. So that's what we'll be doing. Oh, look, there's Mike and his legs. There he is. Look at that. Fine pair of legs there.
Here's Mike and his legs again.
Mike's got his legs over there. Excellent. You excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. But, you know, it really isn't good enough, is it? It's not good enough. I need to show you how to do it properly. Why did we have the Wurzels in it, Mike? I reckon that was to the quiz. But we've also got to work out how on earth are we going to do the quiz when you don't have access to the same kinds of stuff. Tracy said I'd consider sharing my MacBites family support moments. Had several in the last few months, unfortunately. Whatever you are comfortable with, Tracy, whatever you are comfortable with. We do need to get a T-shirt to you, obviously, and one for Mr. Tracy as well. So that's what we'll be doing. So I do have that folder. I do have the book. I do have an iBook copy of it that I can open. And I have assets that I can no longer open, which is fantastic. And I'm going to need to collect lots and lots more. Wiser Elaine needs to be easier on younger Elaine. Yes, future Elaine is not pleased with past Elaine, I can tell you that. And the thing is, it is so easy to do what I did back then, which is like, everything was a heavy lift. Everything was like a project where you got to the end of it and you had a deliverable, you know, you achieved what you set out to achieve. And you literally just, it's like coming in from shopping and just dropping the bags on the floor and then sweeping them into a cupboard and not worrying about it. Seriously, it's ridiculous. And I look back now and I think, would I be any different now? I've come to the conclusion I actually would. In fact, this week, despite how busy I've been and I have literally not had a moment to myself, things are more organised than they were. So hopefully I'm still improving. Because let's be honest, looking back at that, there's a lot of room for improvement. So that's what we're going to do. So as I said, tonight's show is going to be shorter to start with. I was just going to introduce this project. It is going to be the project that we do in November. We'll actually be assembling it in November. So before then, everything's got to be all organised and we'll share it with you. And then hopefully future Elaine can be rather proud of now Elaine, rather than looking back and thinking you want lining up against a wall, woman. I don't know what I was thinking, apart from I think I was focused on getting the job out the door, get it out the door, get it out the door. And obviously I did get it out the door, but that's about it. And those photos from that long ago, when you've got MacBiters sending you pictures of mugs and stuff, you know, you really do need to put those somewhere. If Mike had said, do you remember that picture of Oz Rose with the mug? It'd have been like, oh, yeah. Have you got a copy? Somewhere. So not good, not the best. So next week we'll start working through this as I would. I was actually wondering how long it would take. And thinking about maybe, and I've not done the Twitch thing yet, but doing some kind of like, while I'm looking at it, sessions on Twitch. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But the first thing I'll need to do is kind of walk through it, do an audit of what I've got. Then we'll probably need, first of all, to work out what we actually need. And then there'll be the gap analysis. What's missing? Quite a bit. Let's just say quite a bit. Did you notice in that I was when I opened the actual book itself, which was this copy, there was something definitely missing that quite surprised me, given it was 2012. We do have in here, was it just for fun? No, that was the outtakes. Oh, they were hysterical. And we've probably got more outtakes since then. Was it in here? That was the gear. No, I'm looking for the people. Where are the people? It couldn't have been chapter 1, could it? Oh, they're in sections. There were sections in chapters. I would say it's all coming back to me, but this is what I'm saying about doing that kind of analysis. Oh, we need to shut you up. It's after midnight. Was it the gear? That's right. Well, we've got the people, and we also had the love bites. So this is what I'm saying. We need some new love bites. We definitely need new love bites from you. But as we were looking through this, in fact, you've got the list there. Something definitely missing. Where's Jonathan? He was definitely listening. I'm sure he's listened since episode 1, but he mustn't have sent one in. We need to rectify things like that, don't we, gang? So this was basically introducing our project for quarter 4. It's all got to be finished by December. So who's up for sending stuff in and following along and making suggestions? We've not set our heart on any type of content. We're open to suggestions. So what would you like to see in the version 2 version of this? That's what you need to let us know. So that was a brief introduction to Secret Project number 13. Will we explain what happened to the first 12? He did put a comment in and say he loved MacBites, didn't he? Was he in there? I don't think it was in that bit. I think it was just some comments that we saw. So I think there's some stuff in there. There's even a picture of me. I mean, talk about crazy beans. In the quiz it was. I was in the quiz. There was a picture of me. This one's got the answers in. But where was the picture of me? Did we have to go through here? There we are. I don't know why I'm aligned the wrong way. Oh, don't crash on me now. Now it's getting upset. Oh, come on, you can do it. You can. There's me. Me in my MacBites cap. There I was. There's lots of pictures of Mike, but there is only the one of me. Do you know, I got ridiculed after that. I got somebody saying, really? You've got pink lippy on. It's not pink, it's red. But yes, we did have lots of fun putting it together. But that's the project. Oh, yes, Deborah says a real international collaboration. Excellent, excellent. We all need to be included, I think. I definitely think we all need to be included. And of course, by then, heaven knows how many days we will have had. Right, let me get back into here then. So that will start proper next week, which is 94, the 18th of September. In my mind, Mike, still February. Still February. But next week, even before then, that's the end of the week. Before then, Tuesday, big day. It is the Time Flies event from Apple. There'll be a watch. There's got to be a watch.
You're quite right there, Kim.
What?
She knows that your lipstick's red because she's seen it on my face.
That is very true. Yeah.
Stand and deliver.
We definitely need to put that one in as well.
Your life.
So Tuesday's the big day. We are starting off at 4 p.m. UK time. That is Marooned -3 with Marooned. An hour after that, we're doing our MacBites live. Then we're going to see what Timmy has to say, although it's usually Timmy and a cast of thousands. And then we'll have the post-mortem afterwards. Can't say fairer than that, can we? So it's going to be a big MacBites day on Tuesday. Make sure you have beverages and blankets and things. I think the last one ran to 5 hours. But you know the first one that many people from After Hours were with us for was the one Mike missed. Who remembers that Apple event in December last year? The one that didn't actually happen. Was the worst Apple event ever. They announced there was an event. They put a poster out to say there was an event. We all pitched up. No event. This one will happen. It's pre-recorded. So we're pretty certain this time. Right. We love you guys. If you love us, can you give us a like? It really makes a difference. YouTube like us then, you see. Right, if you want first dibs on all that's going on with me and all that I am doing and coming up in the next few weeks, just don't have a date yet, we have the other sessions, the ones that followed the Affinity Publisher sessions. So we've got the Export Persona in Affinity Designer, and we have 2 sessions on Affinity Photo. So you need to be subscribed so you get first notice of those. The MacBites mail is where you will find all things MacBites. We will mention those sessions on MacBites, but probably not too much because the people who are only interested in MacBites get uppity. And my list get uppity if there's too much on MacBites. So there you go. Can't please all the people all the time. Sometimes I feel like I can't please any of the people any of the time. But that's just my YouTube comments at times, isn't it? Oh, I was in this session the other day and this girl said, I'm not putting up any YouTube videos anymore because I don't like that. The haters. The haters. I mean, you don't have to publish it if you don't like, do you?
No.
And some people are just idiots. In the meanwhile, you can find us on Slack, where we carry on the chat at macbites.co.uk/Slack. But, you know what I need to do next, don't you? Oh, let's get back to that, which is next week. There we go. But I'm going to come out of there because, of course, I have the very important thing to do, which is the scoreboard. Oh, yes. Let's get that across And today, Jonathan. Do you know he'd have been all right with a nap, wouldn't he? He'd have been all right with a nap. There we go. Lapped. Kim says, I think you shouldn't read what the haters have to say. Do you know, they just show themselves up. They really do. The rule of trolls. I'm loving that, Neil. Some things that people say, you just do, they just beg a belief. They really do. I think at the beginning, I probably got quite a few comments. I'm talking like way back when I very first put up a video on YouTube. You get nice comments. Oh, that's really helpful, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I got this snotogram. And, you know, it's like the first one, and I stopped, and you do an intake of breath, and you're like, oh, really? Do you really think it was that bad? And you're like, I don't understand that. And then as you get like more and more, obviously, I mean, you can see your stats on YouTube, and I think my likes to dislikes are something in the range of 98% to 2%. So really, you shouldn't take any notice of the 2%. But oh, the things that they say. I really do need to do was it Paul said? Somebody did a video of their snotogram comments in a really whiny voice, and it was fabulous. I need to do that. But some of the comments are just absolutely ludicrous. They make no sense. Like they'll say, I didn't like this, but I did like that. And you're like, but that was the same as that. And then it'll be, the sound wasn't right, this wasn't right, that wasn't right. The worst one I ever got, and I just laughed like a drain when it came in. I cannot imagine anybody doing this. They took one of my videos, and you know, not known for short videos. This video was about 2 hours at least. Went through every single word that I said and did some kind of like grammatical analysis of it in terms of, I'd be saying, and then you click over on the right. And then I would follow that by saying, and then just move over here. And they analysed it as if they couldn't see the video. And that when I'd said, and then you move over here, they actually did like a whole transcript, and then next to it put, this is what you should have said. If that had have been the first comment I got, you probably wouldn't have put anything up on YouTube ever again. And I read it, and it said, click for more. And I thought, good grief, how long's this? Because obviously it's digital. So I clicked for more. And it opened up and it went on and on and on. I thought, good grief, how much time has this woman taken to critique me? And of course, you get the option whether you publish it or not. And I thought, delete. I'm not going to put that up. Is there something wrong with you? If you've got enough time to sit and watch a video and then write, on a 2-hour video diatribe about it, why don't you go and create something yourself? Instead of criticising what I'm doing, why don't you just go and create something yourself? Which I was very tempted to publish it and then say that, but then I thought, no, because that's how flame wars start. So I remember thinking, the first time I deleted a comment, because you leave it there thinking don't want to delete it, I want to remember that somebody said that. And now I'm like, delete, 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 delete. It's my channel, not yours. If you don't like it, don't watch. Simple as that. But this girl is in this course that I'm doing, and she was really upset. She had a YouTube channel. She wants to get back to putting content on a YouTube channel. That's why she's on the course. And when it was like, well, are you putting your stuff on the YouTube channel now? She said, no. Well, when did you last put, have you got a YouTube channel? Oh, I've got a channel, but I don't put anything on it. And we thought she had never put anything on it, but she had. And the story became, well, what happened? And she got a lot of hate comments 7 years ago and hasn't published anything since. That makes all of us poorer. Because what content could she have shared that you, me, or somebody else might have been just the thing we needed? Just the demonstration, just helped you in some kind of way. But seriously, I thought that was so sad. And she said, I'm still really nervous. I'm thinking about that. I would like to do it, but I can't handle the haters. I can't handle it. And it's no good saying to somebody, well, you're going to have to grow a pair or grow a thicker skin. But love the one you mentioned about saying they wasted 2 hours on the video. My question, why did they watch the whole thing? Usually either compliment or ask a clarifying question. I don't think I've ever commented on a video, I must admit. I probably haven't. I do get people asking questions or making suggestions as to a future video. You know, like, that one was great, but could you show me how to do X? Which is great. I love that, because it's like, okay, I wouldn't have thought of doing that, but that would help somebody. So I'll do it. If it had been, say, a video up to like 15 minutes, I would have thought, well, you know, maybe it was a slow day for her and she was in a bit of a mood and, you know, just decided to make somebody else's day even worse than hers. But 2 hours. 2 hours. It did blow my mind. I did read it all, but as I'm reading it, I'm just laughing out loud. Because I'm thinking, I know, and you saw tonight. Let's get the contact up before Jonathan is sick of looking at that. Right, let's get the contact up. There we go. What was I saying? Oh, I shouldn't interrupt myself. What was I saying? No, it's totally escaped me. Remind me what I was saying. Kim says she doesn't comment much, and Paul said he doesn't comment much either. I don't comment, not for any particular reason. I mean, I might put like a thumbs up on it, but you know, to go back in, especially when the video's like over 2 or 3 months old, I'm like, I could put a comment, but you know, is anybody seeing it anymore? And I do watch videos that are that old because I'm maybe researching something or something like that.
I've just gone into my other YouTube account.
Mike has 2, obviously. One isn't enough for Mike.
No. And it's ages since I've been in. I've got 50 comments. One says, "This is by far one of the stupidest things I've experienced in Excel."
Here we go.
What a waste of people's time.
Ooh.
I don't think it's aimed at me. I think it's aimed at Microsoft.
Yeah, but why put that on your channel? That's what I don't get. Oh, Kim, that's a classic. Had a friend used to write letters, corrected all the grammar, didn't bother writing back. Oh, God. So Deborah says she comments if she really gets a lot out of it. It's a good tutorial, but you watch a lot and would only comment a couple of times a month. Yeah, that's what I get. I don't particularly. I mean, YouTube love interaction. If you put a video up and people just put a thumbs up emoji as a comment, that to YouTube is like, oh, this is a video people are watching and they're enjoying. In fact, even if the comment is a negative comment, if you make it public, it's one like point to you because somebody has interacted with you. They do not work on was the comment nice or not. It's just, is there a comment? And if there is, then that's one community point to you. You know, I take the opinion, life is too short to be arguing in the comments. So if 5 people put I really love this and one person put this is awful, I don't want it kicking off in the chat. Some YouTubers love the chat and spend their life in the chat, and they do get a lot of interaction. But I don't think that's really based on tutorials. It's things like true crime history videos, stuff like that, where there is a conversation. Well, this is what I think. But on tutorials, you know, if the tutorial is an answer to something, then there isn't much scope for somebody to come in and say, well, I think differently. If it's like, how do I export from Keynote? Well, I've just shown you how to export from Keynote. It's not up for debate whether there is another way to export from Keynote, because there isn't. So it doesn't engender a conversation like other videos do. I suppose you'd get more points if you made everything public. But like I say, I just don't want one person to be saying one thing, one saying another, and then them arguing amongst themselves and me having to come in like a school teacher and separate them. I haven't got the time for that.
Mike, you saved my day. Thank you so much. You just saved my life. Thanks. This is exactly the information I needed. Thank you. Thank you. This is another person this video has helped. And this is the same video that person's just slagged Microsoft off. I realise this stuff, I should go into this more often and triage them, shouldn't I?
You should.
Mind you, it makes for good fun on after hours. I realise this is 7 years old, but just in case anyone else finds this, there's an error in the final payment date, which is 1 month too many, otherwise good stuff. Right, so I made a mistake on the video. Principles and concepts. Don't focus on the actual formula.
I don't know if I've ever had anybody correct me.
Oh, I have loads.
I really don't. My original videos were very different. They were sections. We have a site called MacBites Learning, and we put on webinars, but they were like 7 different things. Mike did 7 tips for Windows 7, didn't you?
Yeah.
I did some. I think I did some for
7
Dropbox.
brides for 7 brothers.
Pretty much, yeah. And I had to separate the videos from. I had the full recording, but I had to take the videos out because at one point, until your account was verified, you could only upload less than 15 minutes. And one of these videos of mine was like 15 minutes and 5 seconds. Have you ever tried taking 5 seconds out of a 15-minute video when you're speaking and you're demonstrating all the time? And I thought maybe I could just speed it up a bit to get it under this 15-minute limit. So some of the stuff back then was Dropbox, it was Evernote, it was Acorn. It was all very, very different stuff. But people, what can I say? Now, you know what Tracy's like for good grammar. It wasn't you that wrote the diatribe, was it, Tracy? Tell me it wasn't. It wasn't particularly grammar. It was things like, I guess you'd call it accessibility. But, you know, I am very mindful about describing where I am on the left, on the right, which, you know, is self-evident if you're watching and I'm clicking. But I don't know really what her problem was. It was bad. It was really bad.
Mike, wonderful. You saved my world.
Oh, you see what I mean? Everybody loves you.
Can you teach me how to put up a video, please?
Now you need a video course. I think we get you, Neil. Yeah. I can't remember what those tips were. One was the snipping tool, wasn't it? Which we thought was a stupid name. I don't know if it's just UK, but, you know, the snip has a totally different meaning. So leave it alone. Don't call the thing the snipping tool. The capture tool or something. What did Apple call it? Grab. Mind you, that's almost as bad. The grab tool, which I think is there. You wouldn't have the time. That's what I thought, Tracy. You're far too sensible. No, it wasn't grammar. Which, you know, there are things that drive me mad. Somebody today on something that I think it was a video, said something about the lighting's much more better than it used to be. And I'm like, oh, ouch, that hurt. But, you know, you got to let it go. And I said...
Here's one.
Go on.
Here's one.
Is this good or bad?
Damn, such a complicated thing you've done there. If you know that you have a primary key office, why don't you do a VLOOKUP to column E and add a new column with the region and simply create a pivot table for regions and another one for countries, which would already be linked by a single slice because they have the same data source? Somebody else has replied, this is not the effing point.
I did see one the other day, and this was live. So imagine you've got this person, and this person was doing the presentation. I don't think she had a technical assistant. Now, a technical assistant would be, I'm doing a presentation, let's say it would be via Zoom, and Mike is riding shotgun, looking after the chat, making sure people can get in through the lobby and that kind of stuff. This girl did not have a technical assistant. Now, yes, you can do it on your own, but, you know, like tonight where I said I can't see the chat, I probably could if I had another iPad, but I've already got a laptop and 2 iPads on the desk and a phone and 3 monitors. So there isn't really much room for anything else. But if you're on your own, you would have to take care of that. So she didn't have a technical assistant. She was also taking on building something for someone, and she was doing it live. So she was taking instruction on what to build live. And everyone was sat there in the chat watching. And I think in the chat, I think it's okay to maybe say it would be faster if you did X. But this person came into the chat and I knew this person by name. So I won't name names, but I knew this person by name. And I said to Mike, oh, look who's come in. I guarantee what will happen next. So Mike looked at me and said, what do you mean what will happen next? And I said, well, whatever she says, he will contradict her and it will be wordy Rapping Hood. He'll be in the chat and he'll write 9 paragraphs and it'll boom, 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 come in the chat. I said, but I guarantee it will be telling her a different way of doing it. I said, it won't be, oh, that's great. It won't even be, that's great, but have you thought of doing it this way? It will just be, well, what I would have done, and then he'll start. So we sits there. 5 minutes in, he started. And he starts off with, I'm not going to say too much because obviously it's not my show. And I'm thinking, no, you are just an attendee, so why don't you shut up? But how difficult must it have been for her to actually do the introduction and do the presentation and stuff, take instruction from the person she was building this solution for, present it live, do her own technical assistance, and have him rabbit in the chat. Basically, the easiest job in all of that is his. He's in the chat. All he's got to do to big himself up is post a load of stuff, and then everybody in the chat sees him saying, I would do it this way, and I think it would be better if you did that, and it would add more functionality if you did the other. They could well think, oh, she clearly doesn't know anything, and he knows it all. Now, I know this person, and I know both of them, and believe you me, there's one that I would trust building something, and there's one that I wouldn't. He might technically know the features, but sometimes somebody who's mastered it may say this is the right way to do it. But somebody who has taken it beyond that and internalised it will say, okay, yeah, you're right. That's the way to do it. And this is why I'm not doing it that way. That you need to know enough to know when not to do it the right way for the right reason. So Mike and I, many years ago, internalised COD's rules, didn't we, on databases? COD being a database theorist back in the day, who wrote the book on the rules. Now, I think anybody would understand up to rule 3. But once you get into the dizzying heights of rule 7, 8 and 9, it's like, what? I'm not even sure what that rule meant. But, we had to learn all that stuff.
There's only 6 rules, according to Boris.
True, but I'm sure there's 10 in that. So we would look at a solution and say, yep, the technical way is to do that. And this is why I'm not doing it that way. And it's okay to not follow the rules, as long as you know why you're not following the rules. So sometimes in Notion, it's like, oh, I could externalize this and I could put 3 databases over there, linking into 1 database over there. And then you just have to catch yourself and say, do you know what? Just put it in a text box. That's all you need. Don't overcomplicate it. How I would make that decision is like, say something like the scripts that I showed you earlier, where I've got the little segues between the shows. I could put those in a database. I could link it to the show's database. I could then add a number and that would put them in the right order. Why? It would take an age to build, and what benefit would there be? Absolutely none. Because here's what happens. You sit down, you read it out, you record it, you edit it, you're done. You don't need all that complication. But technically speaking, to match all of COD's rules, that's exactly what you would do. But if that's going to take way too long and you can actually get the job you're trying to get done in a simple way, why don't you just do that? I mean, we've only actually recently added that scheduling option. Before that, it was the back of a fag packet. I found segues that I typed up in drafts, in Notion, in Ulysses. I didn't even have a system for putting them in one place. It was like, need to do the segues, I'll just sit down and I'll type it out. And I just typed out, basically wherever I sat was where I typed it. And I said to Mike, we need to sort this out, because it's gone from introducing the day to having up to 7 segues in the day, all to be played at a different time. What do you call the files? How do you know when to play which one without listening through it? I said, and I've done the recording. I said, so you need to see the script. Like I say, building that properly would have taken forever. Building it so it was good enough is good enough. But this guy in the chat was being kind of technically minded of, if I did it that way, then if 5 years down the line you needed to do X, which is like, I'm never going to need to do X, then you'd be accommodated with that. I really felt sorry for her. I really did, because when you're doing the job, you've not got time to be in the chat tearing him a new one, trying to explain why you're doing it that way. In fact, given that she'd only got a particular amount of time for this thing, any time that was wasted saying, well, I'm not doing it that way because, it's wasted time. And then, this put the cherry on the top, this one. She finishes the session. She managed to escape from this guy in the chat. Honestly, when I copied the chat and pasted it into a text file, it was 80% him. 3 days later, a YouTube video appears from this guy. And it was a total rip-off of everything she'd just demonstrated in this webinar. Did I actually get to tell you that?
Don't think so.
No, I remember the email came in and I'm looking at it and I went out and had a look at this video and I thought, just a minute. Not only is it the same topic, but it was very similar in terms of design, the icons, everything. So he turned up at this webinar, clearly did not need to be at the webinar to learn what she was showing because he knew it all. So what the heck are you there for? Could say the same of me, actually, but then I wasn't ripping it off and building another one. He goes away and he replicates her demonstration, sticks it up on YouTube. Sometimes there are no words for people, and he is one of them, I'm afraid. But there you go. So, another week done. I need to get to bed now, apparently. Mike said so, because I've got a silly o'clock appointment in the morning. So a little bit shorter than usual. Jonathan won't take half as long to catch up, will he? But you are now fully apprised of project number 13, which we will be starting properly next week. Don't forget your part in this, guys. Send stuff in. And we will be back with you tomorrow, won't we, for Marooned?
We will.
We're going into by request after that, and our theme this week is... Places. We've had some quite clever ones, haven't we? Although, as Frank said, millions of those. Millions. I'm going to have to rein myself in. And he did. But he did come up with kind of a kind of subgroup, didn't he? But places. Any places. Any places you like. Am I allowed? There's a rat in my kitchen. Or is my kitchen not a place? Not that there's a rat in my kitchen. Well, not that I'm aware of, anyway.
It's not a place.
It's not a place. It's got to be a geographic place. Like Sweet Caroline. Because I found Caroline Street in Earlham. For Kath.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Places. There are plenty of places. I will leave it up to you to choose which places you would like included. So that'll be 8 o'clock after we've done Marooned. But for the moment, I'm going to say a good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we'll both see you next time.